Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another week of Growing with My Fellow Growers. I'm your host, Jack Greenstock, joined as always by an amazing panel. I'm going to pass it over first this week, as I typically do, to Spartan Grown. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jack. I am Spartan Grown. You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown, all one word with no spaces, or you could shoot me an email, spartangrown@gmail.com, and I'll help you with all of your growing or lighting questions.
Hopefully, we'll get some of those lighting questions tonight or growing questions because tonight we are doing live chat Q&A. And I might actually pull up a question. You know what I'm actually going to do? I got a question outside of live that I'll make as our primary topic. And if we get other good questions in the live, I can add them in. But I have a primary subject that I want to go over. But first, I'm going to introduce Noah, the grower.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Noah the Grow on Instagram. I've been kind of being lazy. I am going to make a new account to post some of my pictures. I did post one in our group chat there, so I just pulled down. But if I get a chance, I'll go in my room, and show up some plants. I just flipped the one light, and yeah, I'll quit rambling. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you back. And I actually got a great question that I think makes for a good show. We could maybe dedicate at least the first hour or half hour or something to it. But somebody mentioned to me that they are building out a grow space and it's a 10 by 10 room and they have a veg area outside of this. So essentially they're trying to build the ideal grow space to harvest like the biggest crops every, 100 days or so, whatever they can, veg their plants to whatever size. And imagining that this is a regulated grow in the fact that like there's not a plant count or a limit or restriction. You can just grow as many plants as you want in that 10 by 10 space, however you want, with whatever lights you want, with whatever air you want. We came to the idea that it would probably be best to not run sealed because having to buy CO2 and lug that back and forth. That was at least my thought on the matter. And I had said it's carbon filtration, have a little bit of air coming in and out. They have the ability to use a mini split. They're already going to have very well insulated grow. It's going to be in a very hot state, hot and humid state. So pulling in cool air during certain seasons will be a little bit difficult, but they do have mini split accessibility and very high tier construction abilities. So like if something needs to be built or done, they can make that happen. But I guess what I initially was trying to pitch him on the idea of like doing a couple of tents, like have like two five or several 5 by 5 tents in that area, and then you can kind of lung room the grow room. But then they were kind of leaning towards the idea of like, well, I can get really reflective walls and I can hang lights and make the entire space like a grow space, and they're not going to do a veg in there at all. So there's no veg. You have a 10 by 10 basically it's like a separate outhouse, a building, a shack, a garage, a separated unit, completely independent itself, but it's 10 by 10, 100 square feet to grow with. And I'll pass it to Spartan because like you guys have kind of done this with the trichome forage with a slightly larger than your average home grow setup. So if you had a 10 by 10 space, knowing exactly that, the conditions that I've kind of laid out for you, how would you go about maximizing getting, a couple major crops per year?
Yeah, I would do a 10 by 10 room. I'd set up 4 lights. I would cover in a 5 by 5 space each. I would have fast fit trays if you can find them. Go on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace anymore because I don't think you can even get those anymore. But they're out there with those little fast fit trays that you can throw together pretty quick, and it's gives you an actual table that you can throw a 4 by 8 tray in. And I'd have two of those, and those would be my tables, and I have 2 lights over each table, and make sure that they had the reflective walls. And what we really liked was the that Duramax stuff, which is like the PVC wall paneling. Actually, the whole wall was PVC. But that's like, I don't know. That's going out there, I guess. But at least white for a reflective wall, and like a mini split would probably be my go-to for cooling the space. And I would bring CO2 in there and probably not exchange air if I could help it. I would prefer to have CO2 and be control of the whole environment if I can, especially if you get really, really hot days like you're saying, wherever they're at. Just lock all that out, do the best insulation as you can, and then cool that space and keep it cool.
Yeah, it just depends on, I guess I didn't ask their availability, cost, and
That's
convenience of CO2. Because if it's
yeah,
inconvenient to them, like if it's like they can only get like 5 gallon jugs or whatever, and they have to like lug it once a week or whatever, versus if they can have like a 50 or 100 or whatever huge tank that gets refilled once a month, or somebody comes out like you guys had commercially servicing it, they like see, oh, it's low, we're gonna come refill it kind of thing.
yeah.
That would be nice. But even if it's just like one of the larger tanks, if I know they've got access to a truck and they're very capable in
Yeah, if you have the
working.
ability of a place that's like a welding supply or something like that, even if it's not your traditional,
They work in welding, so
yeah, yeah, okay, perfect. So welding supply, you might be able to have access to these gases like CO2, or it's really popular in the food industry for all these soft drinks, right? That's what those bubbles are, is CO2. So you can get CO2 tanks a lot. They're all over the damn place, and you just got to find a place to changes them, and it might be a food service to say, hey, I got to change out the CO2 tank. I got a soda machine in my garage, or whatever you want to tell them. But
I just got some for paintball. I'm getting back into
yeah, that we
paintball,
used to
but
do
they
that
have
back in the
the
day was
tiny little
paintball.
ones, like the 12 gram CO2s, but they have like 20 ounce and 12 ounce and larger tanks and stuff like that. I
20
say
ounces
larger,
where
but
to
like for
go.
paintball, that's large. But for a grow, it'd be absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
it's funny. It's all relative.
Like a 50-pound tank or something for your grow, or at least a 25 or 20 pounder, I think they are. A 50 pounder will last us like a month, couple months, where a 25 pounder, you're changing that every couple weeks. But it's a lot easier to deal with. You
Good to
know.
know. And I do want to give a second because he's only going to be here for the first hour to welcome in the American one. Cheers, Tom. Mute button undefeated.
Yeah, I was on the wrong window. Then, yeah, it took me a couple minutes, but yeah, thank you. It's good to be here. I'm the American One on the YouTube and the American One underscore with underscore Ekeens on the IG. Jack panel, it's good to see you. Good to see everyone in chat. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. And yeah, good to be here.
So I know that you weren't here right when we started at the top, but we're going to do Q&A after because this person isn't going to be here live, but they asked a question beforehand, and I think it's just such a good general topic that we could talk about it for half hour to the first hour. And it is you have basically a grow shack, like it, a separated grow area. You can insulate it. They're going to have mini split accessibility, so it's going to be air conditioned, dehumidified, humidified, whatever needs to be done in terms of climate control. They can set that climate to exactly what they want. Um, I think that ideally they might want to grow and harvest within the same 10 by 10 space, uh, harvest and dry in that same space because they only need really, honestly, like one crop a year would probably be enough for this person. But if they can get two or three, then that's even all the better. So with that in mind, you have a 10 by 10 space. You can do sealed, you can do a ventilated space. Um, so I'm curious, Tal, since you just joined us, kind of where would you start? Like if you, I was talking about maybe doing like multiple tents in there and having like separate flower spaces, and then you could do like even perpetual and like having stuff coming down every few weeks. But if you have the 100 square feet and you do have the other thing I didn't mention to you when you came in was they have a feeder space that's like a veg space outside of this shack at a different location. So they're going to have clones and seedlings and stuff started and vegging kind of on a general rotation that they can pick up and throw into that space whenever they're done growing and drying in there. So 100 square feet, uh, it's there is the issue of it's a very hot environment. The place that they're at is hot and humid. So if you are going to go with the recycling the air from outside, that is one of the issues that they'll have to deal with, especially during the summertime. It's a little more moderate in the, spring, fall, and winter, but even then, there's some hot days. So I'm curious where you would start off if you were kind of planning out your dream 10 by 10 grow, 100 square foot little grow
Yeah,
shack.
I got a great thought. So I thought about this already. If like, yeah, I'm sure maybe some of us have. But I always maintain that if I had unlimited budget and I could do like whatever size, I would want to get a walk-in like freezer box. You don't need the whole freezer with the equipment and everything, but man, I put them together. I like brandy new walk-in boxes. You put them together, they're light tight, they're insulated like mad. You can put holes in it if you want. You could easily filter the air coming in. The only thing is the doors on a lot of them are like overkill. They're way big, you got and they're and like yeah. So you could get, I'm sure you could get, make your own door for it too. You could, custom or get an aftermarket something. But Yeah, I would like that would be my dream is to have a walk-in freezer, boxes, and yeah, even because it's pitch black. There is no light, dude. You have no worries about any kind of light leaks if once these things are put together. And yeah, I would thinking about it. I probably would want to have it sealed with CO2, but also, yeah, I don't know. There's something about fresh air, I think, too, that is good. I don't know though. Yeah, I never did it. I've never grown commercially. Like I've always done it mostly. I mean, to smoke for myself, but I've sold it because I've had such extra. But um, yeah, I like the thought of having an exhaust fan, at times too. And then sometimes, well, if you're saying he's in a hot area, if he's in Death Valley, you'll never be able to turn off the AC. But like if you're in a place with seasons, there might be a time where you don't need the AC. You could have the fresh air coming through, and cooling would be just fine with outside air. So yeah, it would have a filtered outside air intake and an exhaust. And yeah, that would be my ideal situation, I think.
I like that. I like that. I think just out of
And yeah,
general. Oh, go ahead.
just one thing, yeah, I would have it the whole thing a flower room because if he's getting fed from another area, there's no reason why not to go big and make. Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess there is
The
other
only I'd
reasons.
play devil's advocate and just say the only reason for me is
You don't have
one
to
being
trim in jail.
arthritic hands over here is, yeah, you cut your
Yeah,
trimming time down, you're harvesting more, so you have fresh stuff more often. Not harvesting more weight, but you're harvesting more frequently. So you have fresher stuff more often. You're
right.
trimming less of it.
Well,
If you
you're
do want to do
trimming
different
more.
strains and
You can
stuff,
do that in an open
It probably
room. You
won't
don't need the
stop.
tents. You could say,
yeah,
if you
just do
got
one
four lights in
row,
the room,
row.
yeah,
They do it
four lights in,
outdoors,
yeah.
stage sequential harvesting.
What I like to do is just lights. So like if I got four lights in the room, each light can do its own cycle, right?
Yeah.
And four different cycles of that. That's going to keep you perpetual. Maybe one.
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
something I mentioned to him is the perpetual. I think they want to just go all one crop, all one bang, just
You know,
full veg, full.
with the perpetual with four lights in the same room, when you get those last four in there, the other ones are pretty giant.
Getting
Well,
shaded out.
sometimes they really
You can
do
use
an
buckets and
overshadow.
platforms and stuff,
Right, right. That's
but
true.
it does
When I
present
do
challenges.
perpetual,
It's
I like,
worth mentioning. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
yeah,
So the only thing I'll say, I've been sitting here listening, and this is kind of my wheelhouse. This is what I do. I've helped quite a
yeah,
few people do all this stuff. Just skipping over, the mini split thing, and just saying you have mini split adjacent is pretty. This is like such a huge advantage that most people don't have, and this is such a huge deal. Like just saying your mini split adjacent. I have three mini splits in my house. In my grow room, and they're all three different brands. One comes pre-charged. There's a lot of levels to this. There's 240, there's 120, there's ones you get off Amazon, there's ones that you can repair. I would not just skip over that. I would spend a lot more time on this issue. I would want it to be, I like to go overkill on it. But the other thing is if it's in the summertime, I don't know where this person is located. It's none of my business. But if it's summertime, don't have that mini split on auto. Have that sucker on cool wherever you want it, wherever you want it. Like I don't know how you guys like it with your LEDs. I've never done it, so I have no experience in that. But I do know about cooling rooms. I've gone into different grow rooms and just friends and helped them tune it in. And yeah, I mean, most people like when I tell them because I've told so many people get a mini split. Oh, mini split. It's like they act like it's like you know what I mean. Like I told them to buy a Lamborghini, but truly a mini split is a huge advantage. And I would definitely spend quite a bit of time getting the right setup in that aspect, the mini split aspect.
I'll tell you this, knowing them, it's not going to be the budget one. They're going to be more on
Beautiful.
the one that's the most reliable, or even like the most Bugatti. They like to build stuff well and they're like a quality's cheaper in the long run type person, like myself. When they do it right.
That's Mitsubishi then. Mitsubishi have very high-end mini splits. They're reliable. And then I have brought this up with other people. I would make sure because if you have a mini split in a grow room, it's not like having a mini split in your house. Okay, so
yeah.
if you have a mini split in your house, it's just going to be cool in your house. You probably have it set at 70. But in your grow room, especially if you're doing HPS, which is what all I've done, that thing's gonna be working hard. So when you buy that mini split, get that 10-year warranty, because believe me, 10 years, pay for the, like, not the one where it's like, oh well, the engine, and no. And then another
Full
thing
coverage.
is, when you get that mini split, start thinking about when you're going to service it, because that coil is going to start getting dirty, especially in a grow room. And having that, like, there's like a little like I had a guy come in and clean one in my house, and he charged me way too much. But
Dude, it's nasty though, right, Noah?
yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
gets
want
really. Oh my god, you should have seen
Well,
it. I watched the guy because they have like a
I've
little
done it.
bag, and
Yeah,
I was just like, yeah, it's dirty. Oh my god, and this is in
dude.
my
You see the
house.
black? Yeah, I've
Oh,
seen it. And
black,
yeah.
the
oh, dude,
blackest crap
it's
ever. And then they
they.
have it, and they can, if a guy knows what he's doing with your outside the base unit, there's like a coil on it, and if you got to make sure that you're going like down, and so you're not messing that up. And then like I don't know where it's going to be located. You know what I mean? Like so like let's say you want in your house, like dryer lint, like stuff from like dandelions,
That's
like
yeah.
dirt, all kinds of stuff can get in that. And like mine, my brand new one, this is my bedroom that I got from the Clark County, from the weatherization program. That's a national program that people can sign up for if you make under like, I think it's like $5,000 a month. But anyways, that mini split is already starting to smell. It's really weird. It's like got something in that coil, and so I'm either gonna have to clean it. I have a buddy that I pay to do work, and I'm a little nervous about having him just like start taking my hose and spraying my coil without knowing what he's doing. So I think I'm going to show him how to do it first. But there's a lot
Yeah,
that goes into
they
that mini split to doing it right. It's not just as simple as just throwing a mini split in there. I mean, if you got the money to pay a guy to come and do it all the time for you, hey, that's like a
they
huge
need
luxury. To do what I said, to have that guy come and do it at my house, it cost me like $300. So
yeah,
and he was here for like an hour and a half, and it was 300,
yeah.
maybe 350. I
That's
can't remember. So
so
it's not
basically
cheap to get them serviced.
get someone to do a service call. Well, in New York, it's $350. Like that's 150 just to get there.
Yep.
But they should really the manufacturers should make it way easier to take that shit apart and clean it, because that's like a squirrel. I forget what they call them now. Squirrel fan, more like it's a round cylinder. That's the fan blade, and they should just make it so you could take it out. And yeah, no, I'm sure you know this, but they have like coil cleaner. You just spray the coil, and it sanitizes it and cleans it. But like you're saying, if you don't know what you're doing, you could get shit wet that you shouldn't be getting wet. But in general, like yeah, I've cleaned a whole bunch at my old job what I was doing, and it is nasty what is in those things, and you can't see it though. That's the other thing. The outside would look clean, but the inside is nasty. Oh,
Important
one
to
more
keep them
thing.
clean. They will
I was
start to
gonna
stink.
say, I'm sorry. I was gonna say with the perpetual, when I was doing perpetual, I would do a 1 4 by 4 foot 10, and then another 4 by 4 foot 10. So there was uh separated so that they each had their own spots. That's all.
The one thing I also didn't mention when you came in, Tao, is it's like, pretend that there's no regulations, unlimited plant count, as many plants as you can fit, as many lights as you can fit, as much whatever you want as you can do. You could be circulating, it could be sealed. You can have as much fun with it as possible. You could have
Forgot
underlights.
to give an important dimension. How much height?
So
Because
I haven't
I
actually
could be
confirmed that with
stacking.
them.
We could be
They're
stacking
the
shit,
type of
man.
person that could literally chop the roof off and add another 10, 15 feet if I was like, hey, build this higher. They'll make it as
There you
tall as it
go.
needs to go. It could be as tall as, uh, other than like city limits type thing. And even
Yeah.
then, it's a pretty
Well, then
open
you could
area.
talk 2, 3 tier, if they're, and you could really fucking do one crop and be good for the be good for the year. If you want to get super crazy with it.
They're
One thing that I
newer
would do
into
that would be
growing. They're
one thing
newer, so
that
I wouldn't want to overcomplicate it with the multiple tier
okay,
personally.
I'll do one thing that's practical, but it's like any long-term grower, if they notice it in your grow room, they'll think you're a fucking pimp.
Floor
And that's
drain.
a floor drain. And if you have height, just build your floor up, and then put your floor drain in and pipe it out. And fuck, man,
I've
that
been
could
telling them that.
save your ass. It can save your ass. especially if you're going to do anything hydro or automated watering or any of that. If you're going to do organic and in beds, you still would want something like that because you can still automate water.
Yeah. And
Dude,
it's just nice if
awesome
you're
call,
cleaning.
Spartan. Yeah, yeah.
I think like that is one of the growers' dreams that you only find out about once you flood your grow room or have something go wrong, or just be like, man, it'd be so much more convenient if I was able to just dump everything down that drain, or I could just, spray the walls and it's all going to drain down. Like if you have FRP walls versus, you definitely don't want like drywall or
Oh,
wood or anything that will eventually start to mold and rot
soaking wood,
away.
soaking water. Dude, that FRP board, that shit is legit. Except, man, it stinks yeah, it
You got to
all
let it off gas
passes. I
depending on
don't
where
know
you get
how
it from.
long. Yeah, but
Dude, I'll tell
I
It's
you
really
steel
love that
and
stuff. That was
plastic
my
and
favorite. Like
what
the,
I loved about this stuff that we put at the Tricone Forge was it was literally, it looked like, well, it's basically just completely white PVC wall panels that lock together so they're watertight. And we even silicone caulked each between each one. But they're all PVC. So it's not like PVC glued to something else or, with drywall behind it or anything like that. This is literally just all essentially plastic. So, I mean, 100% waterproof, right? So we could literally go in there and we have sprayed the walls down after a harvest, wiped
yeah,
out these things, and it's like we're good to go. And we have the floor drains too. So we could just squeegee it into the floor drain and boom.
that is nice. Cleanliness is crucial in growing to prevent molds, mildews, and pest ingress. You don't want bugs and other things getting into your grow that aren't supposed to be there. And being able to keep it clean is a must, I would say. I'm curious because we've got a bunch of different growers on the panel, but I gave him my feedback. How long would you say your typical flower cycle is? Because this is going to be just a flowering space. So how long do you think, Spartan, it takes for, your average plants from like the short end of like a fast finisher to the longer end, slow finisher?
I'd say most anything you buy commercially today is very likely to finish in 8 to 9 weeks. And it would be surprising to find anything finished past 12.
That's a good range. What about you, Noah? What do you think in terms of range of weeks or days or however long for harvest times?
9 to 10, especially with when you add it in the harvest, I'd go 9 to 10. And then especially like in a scenario like this, I've experimented with this. This might be controversial, but another thing I like to do is if I have the space and the time, uh, some of those uh, some of those bottoms don't get as much. And if you just are just wanting the best possible weed, you could chop off like, I don't know. When I go out to my room, I'll show you. I got one in there right now. I took off like 75%, 80% of the bud, but like, and you can see it like slowly finish, and you'll know too, like if it's still sucking water, but like, as my esteemed colleague Tao said, is if the power bill is due, like, yeah, you might want to pull that top up because you might need something. You might need to get stoned. Who knows what your situation is? But if you got the time, you could throw another. That's why I said 9 to 10 weeks. You could throw that bottom, let it sit for another 10 weeks, and you'd be surprised. Open that up to the light. It's a fun little experiment that I've been playing with. But yeah, 9 to 10 weeks would be what I would shoot for.
All right, Tal, what about you? How long do you think the
I
flowering
just
period typically is
I
for
just wanted to add one thing
plants
to
today?
Noah's thing though, is that that's being solved by under canopy lighting.
ooh,
Making
So
more uniform
so it all
buds
blooms at
yeah.
the
and
same
faster
time.
finishes, better finishes
Well,
on the lowers.
I'm a poor you guys, so I'm looking from the cheap home grow perspective.
Yeah, I'll second what Noah said because there was this my buddy, the one I had whatever, but he grew it in his backyard and I would go over there. So we wouldn't take it all because I'd go over there for a few hours. So we take off like the tops, like get those done and then I go back. And that shit was always ended up getting crazy colors. And yeah, the lowers were definitely got better with time. But on the other hand, yeah, they were there longer too. So I don't know, but whatever. I'd say 9 to 10 weeks. I like taking them 9, even if they're 8 weekers. I go 9. But like a couple of my plants that I had a long time, and I loved them. I would take it at 8 weeks because it was the time right from Subcool, and Subcool like made a shit, so it was done in 8 weeks. That's what his claim was, you know. So I would always do it at 8, but just for shits and giggles, I'm like, I'm gonna leave it long. I let it go 10, maybe 11 one time, and I didn't like it as much. It wasn't the same at all, man. It was totally different. And so yeah, there's something to be said about, you can experiment on your own with what your harvest time wants to be, even though whatever is told to you, you could try it different ways. But yeah, I would say 9 to 11 weeks. And yeah, I usually, well, I guess I let them go now. Like I'm not like what Noah was saying. Definitely in the past, I have been like, if we had no weed, I'd be like, I'm taking this top off right now, and like you say, you got to pay the bills, whatever. But now, if the hairs are white, I let it go pretty much. And I do check. I haven't checked in a while now because I just been letting them go long, and I know that they're finished. But you could always check with the jeweler's loop or microscope to see if the resin glands will change color. You could go that route if you want. See if you like them white or clear or amber. But yeah, it's all personal preference. And yeah, you could try and get strains that finish quicker, like that notoriously quick finishing blueberry muffin from HSO, right?
HSC, yeah.
For outside HSC. Okay,
Humboldt Seed
yeah.
Company.
So you could try and get ones that finish on the timeline you want, or you could even get ones that you want to see go for 20 weeks, whatever.
They
Get
might
that
even try
reunion,
autoflower, but I want them to try photo period first. It's just so much more reliable, but we can get into that in a little bit.
make the comeback. Yeah.
For those that obviously weren't part of the conversation when I was talking to him on the phone, what inspired this conversation? I mentioned very similar time frames to you guys. I said like on the fastest side, I'm seeing stuff at like 7 weeks, but usually like 8 to 9 weeks is the commercial side. Like home growers and people that really love personal stuff might go 9, 10 weeks if they're really, really dedicated. And then there's a rare few that go a little bit longer than that. And then like the oddballs that or landrace stuff that isn't really grown for commercial purposes, so it doesn't apply to them. So I didn't really mention that, but there's like 16 to 22 week plus stuff. But in terms of commercial, the longest thing I've seen in modern times is the GMO at like 80 days of flower, like over 10 weeks solid. It's 11, 12 plus week, depending on whoever takes it. 77, 78 are days that I'm hearing. I think Spartan just said 77 or 78 the other week. And
77. I'm
yeah.
high on GMO right now. Shout out GMO.
One of my favorite in terms of I really think it makes the best concentrate. Like my wife and I are both very picky and we always enjoy GMO concentrate. It's like almost never bad, especially like good rosin. Ooh,
Yeah.
it's got a garlicky, a little bit of gassy note to it, and it just gets you really nicely medicated really fast with a fairly pleasant flavor. I think it's not the worst flavor, but it's also not my favorite. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm with
interesting.
you, Jack. I'm with you. I'm not one to love that flavor, but my body loves it. Like when I smell it, it's like, oh, that's gonna get me so high. Yes.
The nose knows.
It's pure effect. And it's like, the memory tied to your nose and all that, for sure. So I love to smell the GMO, but I don't so much love the taste of it.
Getting back to the cultivation side, I had another quick question because I mentioned this on the call with them, but I want to get your guys' input. Temperature and relative humidity. And I'm going to start with Noah the grower, and he's a high pressure sodium or HPS or HID grower out there. So his temperature and relative humidity numbers might be different than Spartan or myself or anybody else with LED. But I want to go with you first because I think you're going to start the bar off at like a lower temperature spectrum than maybe other people might be answering. So Noah, what do you think? Best temperature and relative humidity to flower a cannabis plant to perfection?
Well, my humidity levels are subject to what I can do, even with two dehumidifiers going in the Pacific Northwest. But temperature always would be 70, 72. 72 is fine. But yeah, humidity, I would say 50 if you can do it. You know what I mean? Like some people say 40. I think that's too low personally. But hey man, whatever works for you. That's the other thing. Like certain strains like it more humid. Especially not having to worry about vegging is just like that's what I'm jealous of. But no, yeah, 70, 72 would be my temp, and then like humidity would be like in the 50 range is what I like.
And have you ever taken like a laser gun and like shot the leaf temperature versus like the ambient room temperature and seen how much of a difference there is between like what the thermometer on the wall says versus what the plants would be feeling, so to speak.
I have. I've experimented, but it just, it's also it's time, you know what I mean? Like, and it's also like, so like I do, because just like you said, I like fresh weed. So even my like back in the day, like when I first came on the show, like I had 5 lights going, and it was those 5 lights, and they all came down at the same time. And I would spend like, a day or a day and a half trimming it, which was, dude, oh my God. I look back now, I'm like, holy crap, doing one light's a lot of work. I cannot believe I used to do 4 or 5, straight, and me and my wife. But and then we would just flip the whole room. Now I'm like, oh dude, no, like I want that weed that's like, 3 weeks a month. That's why I was always shocked when everybody was like, man, I like my weed like cured. And I'm like, nah, dude, I want that shit fresh. That's like the advantage you have over the dispo, you know what I'm saying? So, but
I
yeah.
will say I just came across some stuff that's like 6 months old from the dispo. I got gifted to me from somebody in my wife's workspace. It's called Scotty's Cake, and it had one of those like terp seals. It was like a aluminum foil type,
Mm.
like glued on seal. And this was some of the stickiest, freshest seeming bud. And we looked at it, and it was from like last year, at least 6, maybe 7 months ago, 7+ months ago. It's like the end of last year, and it's still like you would think that this was harvest within that month. Like they maybe put it in there a little bit wet, but Cam does a really good job. This is like I think it's a woman owned and operated. They have a lot of cool people,
I
and
I would hope they're getting better at the packaging and making it last
most of
for
them
shelf
aren't,
more
sadly.
stable. Yeah, I
Most
mean,
of them are
even
white labeling it from the same couple of farms that are
yeah,
pushing it
that's
all
a
out through a
shame.
bunch of different distribution networks and all changing names and
You
bags
know,
and
because
garbage down the line.
I totally believe if you package it right, it could last pretty damn good for a long time.
They
You
say it's
know,
expired at a year, but we've had some of the stuff that was expired because it didn't sell at a dispensary or whatever that she worked at, and they had to destroy it. And so like it gets gifted
man,
out to some of
bro,
the employees. We
I
smoked it and it
I
was fine.
dude, I've met people at cannabis cups that they won't even bother with it unless it sits for a year. And I'm like,
And then some
that
people only want it
boggles
if it's
my
less than three
mind, dude.
months. It's like
Yeah,
such a
yeah,
disconnect in the market. Some people are like, "Oh,
yeah,
I'll only get it if it's," and the buyers in the market, in the legal market in California, if it's less than 3 months old, that's ideal. If it's older than 3 months old, they're looking for like a 50% discount on the price to purchase it, which is crazy to me. But a lot of the
well, again,
consumers
if
are
it's not,
demanding fresher.
dude, if
Going to
it's
Noah's
not
point, though, I think generally fresher
packaged,
is better. If it's
yeah,
all things considered across the board, like even the lower, cheaper, shittier stuff, if it's fresher, it's going to be better than if you find the rare one. This is like a probably $60 something plus eighth or something before the 38% tax. It
dude.
went up from
I think we
34.
have Dunn and Kruger on the. I think there might be some ways of curing it that demand over a year that would make it better, but we just don't
100%.
know.
It's just that market's not there yet, sadly.
Right,
We need to
and
inform and educate. Like DJ
I,
Short's a big fan of
it might
one
be
year plus
totally
stuff.
lost. Like, because I just saw a cob. It was and somewhere I forget where it was, maybe Pakistan. I forget the name of the thing, land race, maybe something bureau, land race bureau.
Yeah.
And they had like, yeah, they pack it in bamboo, and I guess they pack it in the bamboo when it's still moist, the bamboo, and then it ferments like a year, like the whole description of it, and yeah, it says it makes it taste smoother and better. So
Even in a glass jar, dude. I
shit,
put
we don't
that
know.
Huckleberry cookies to Hellfire OG. It was
You
called
told
Doc
me, yep,
Holiday.
yep.
And it turned out from when I harvested it fresh, it was gassy, piney, almost like an OG Kush. And when I took it to Sungrown 707 for my anniversary trip, or it was our honeymoon trip, I should say, I pulled it out and it smelled like blueberry fucking candy, like straight sweet ass blueberry. And it was like, I never picked up a blueberry note at all. And I'm Mr. I can fucking smell and taste it all, right? But it just sat in my curador at 60 degrees and 60 relative humidity and wasn't in the sun and got better, I guess, in a sense, if you wanted more blueberry. It was really interesting to me that it doesn't necessarily have to degrade if you keep it in storage properly. But a lot of shops don't have temperature controlled rooms for their flour, and a lot of places don't have air conditioned units to transport the stuff if it's a delivery service. Some places do, but it's a rare thing nowadays where in the home grow we can keep it climate controlled once we harvest it. We can climate control it in our cars when we drive it to our friend's house, so it never really has to go in a really hot environment and get kind of shitified. But I agree with you, Tal. I think there's going to be a market for that. I think that's a little more esoteric though, and I want to get back a little bit to the what temperature and relative humidities we prefer, because I think the LED guys are going to be saying hotter and more humid, and I think they're going to be buying LEDs for this grow space because it's a brand new setup and they're going to be doing everything from scratch. So even if they buy used products, maybe from people that have shut down their grows in the commercial areas around them or whatever, likely going to be, 4 or 5 LEDs hanging over the space. So I'm curious, Spartan, what is your ideal temperature and relative humidity for flowering cannabis plants optimally?
Probably be different in a different stage of growth and the way the plants look and all that crap, but I'd be happy with like about 10 degrees hotter than no, honestly, about 80, 82 to 84, and maybe a little bit more humidity, like maybe 60% if I'm earlier on, and then maybe crank it back down towards 50% towards the end. Um, Kind of just general terms speaking. And yeah, I'd run it like that, a little hotter, a little warmer, try to follow VPT a little bit tighter, but that's because I'm using LED lights too, which they don't put off that heat that the HPS are doing. So they're kind of doing the same. We're doing kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
Like
that's why I asked Noah
your
about the
example.
laser. Because like one
Yeah.
of the things I noticed was when I grew under CMH and HPS is you could put your arm underneath the light, and if you could feel that warmth coming off of the light, like you almost knew you were in the right zone. If it was too hot to hold your hand under there for like a few seconds, you're like, oh man, that's too hot. Then the plants aren't going to like it either, and you could just move the light up a little bit and get better coverage and make your yield more optimal, et cetera, and don't stress out the plants. But when I moved to LED, when I tried that same strategy, you're not getting that same radiant heat. So it's much more important to have a light meter or an understanding of like a grow light test that tells you hang it, X amount of inches above the canopy. And especially in their situation being a 10 by 10, they're going to have, like four 5 by 5s essentially. So if you have 4 5 by 5 lights up there, you're having great coverage plus the cross coverage from each one makes each one a little bit better. And you're going to have highly reflective walls, whether it's white or a mylar coating. They're building it optimally, so they're going to get that benefit of reflectivity. Maybe even under
And
canopy if they are, exploring enough. But I think we're going to keep it simple at the start and just get those 4 5 by 5 lights set up
yeah.
for them, get that cranking. And I'm more with you in the terms of we're actually probably doing the same thing because, like I was saying with Noah, if he laser temp thermometers, it might say 72 in his thermometer on the wall, but with the laser gun, it might say 77 or 78. There might be like as much to like 5 or 6 degrees difference in HPS room. In a LED room, it's usually like 1 to 3 degrees difference, maybe the exact same temperature, depending on where that plant is in the room, etc. I always said like 78 to 82 in terms of what I like, but when running CO2 in a sealed space, 83, 84, 85 is fine. And you can run it. I've actually gone and gotten away with. It could be a little bit of a strain resistance, I guess, or me not even knowing, but I've flowered because I didn't have optimal dehumidification in my old place at 70% RH, like late flower. So as high as 70%, I think 55 to 60 is ideal. 65 on like the high end or early. Like if we were talking about the Spartan saying like maybe there's different stages of flower that you would consider. The early stage, I think he would probably describe as well, is when you're going to want it a little bit hotter and a little bit more humid. It's almost like veg still. While they're stretching, if you run it hot and humid, they're just going to stretch and grow like crazy. And if you're trying to fill up the space fast and make the plants grow really rapidly, that's one way of helping it be more conducive to that. And then as they start to have bud set, you see those pistils, stigma growing out, and you start to see the flowers blooming out. You want to bring that relative humidity down a little bit. And even the temperature, I would say like last week, if you can drop it 3, 4, 5 degrees, and then especially at night, if you can cool it down like a 5, 10 degree swing, 10 degrees at the max, but that's going to bring out a lot of purpling and might be beneficial to consider. So, yeah, I'm curious. Last and certainly not least of our panelists, Tao, what do you think about temperature and RH that you prefer for a flower?
I'm pretty much with what Spartan said. And at the very end, I definitely like shooting it a lot cooler. If you can make it cooler at the very end, it probably doesn't hurt, in my opinion. And yeah, I also would say I do love the infrared thermostat gun and checking the leaves because yeah, you can't really tell. You don't know what the temperature is unless you check the actual leaf temperature, in my opinion.
It's different from plant to plant. Like I've gone across my canopy and some days, depending on if like one is closer to the light, that one might say like 83, and then one that's like in the corner that's kind of like out of the light, but still getting some good light is like 79 or something. So as much as like 4 degrees. And depending on like how much air, the plant is really fascinating because if I laser gun the wall, it might say 83 or 84. But as soon as I go over to that plant, it's like 80, 82, 81. The plant has like a vascular nature. It's able to like cool itself a little bit. It can bring water to the areas and transpire or respire, whatever.
Yeah,
It puts off humidity so that it can cool itself, and it gives it certain stuff in the shade. It has shade avoidant technique, and it's a fascinating plant in that it has some resilience. It's not as powerful as some. I saw one that was like in the middle of the desert, or even I can't remember if it was hot or cold, but there's some plants that are incredibly able to like just be way different temperature than the outside area around it. So cannabis is not necessarily the most extreme in that example, but it has a slight variance that it's able to make itself cooler, or in the case of it being cold, it can make itself a little bit warmer than the environment around it by using the fluid
you know
and
what I'm
water and
saying?
stuff within it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say you could also check if you watered the plants. If one's definitely if you have like a monocrop and one all of them are reading 78 at the leaf and one's reading 85, that one probably needs some water. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed
Yeah.
that phenomenon too.
That's a great point. It's almost a warning sign before something might else, like before it starts drooping or having some sort of crinkly leaves or yellowing. You can say, "Oh man, that one's a little bit dry," if you didn't realize already. So, great point there. And I'm curious if any of you guys have any other points on temperature, humidity, um, just generally, I think through the flower cycle, I know Spartan mentioned VPD, vapor pressure deficit. I think some people get really complex with that, but there's charts and stuff. You can just pull it up and it's a good reference point. I think as long as you're within any of the ranges that we're talking about, Noah, myself, Spartan, or Tau, you're going to be good. Definitely, like in Noah's case, if you're in CMH, metal halide, or HPS, then you're going to be crushing it. That's one of the harder parts is when you have a light that puts off a lot of heat, is keeping it that cool. That's why he's talking about having mini splits, working hard and getting the job done. And when you keep it that cool, he runs it that cool because he ran it warmer before and got worse results. So he ran it cooler and cooler until he found the optimal to like get killer, good smelling, good looking, frosty ass nugs. And if you do even look at his old posts, because he's not posting anymore because they deleted him like they deleted me, but he got his page back at the Noah the Grower account on Instagram. He's got tons and tons of Firebud, and he's proof, living proof that you can still do it with HPS. And there's definitely no shame in that game for sure. Because I can't wait to try some of Noah the Grower's bud. Looking at it, I'm always like, ooh, I'm drooling over it. He's probably going to show us a little bit later on the show because he'll go into the room. But before we get
I'll
to
try
that,
some of that duct tape.
me too. That would
Oh
be
my
one that I'd
toes.
be first wanting to try.
Yeah,
Duct
he's been
tape.
teasing us with that fucking duct tape for fucking months now.
Oh
It
yeah,
always
I'm a
looks
big
good.
duck kite guy. I got some. This last harvest turned out really good, and then the one behind it looks really, really good. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. That's for
You
sure.
and the people in your area are blessed by that duct tape. I'm sure it's a great smoke.
I love it.
So moving on a little bit for the 10 by 10, 100 square feet grow shack situation. One of the things I was considering is because we're not worried about plant counts or anything like that. This is just like a dream grow in a dream world. We're just having fun, and so you can do whatever you want. Are you going to have, you know, there's a lot of possibilities, right? You could be like the Northern Scrogger, a guy who I used to see who would grow 5 by 5s with one single plant because of plant count, and it just vegged the hell out of it. Obviously, you're not going to do that for a commercial grow. Are you going to have 1,000 plants? Are you going to have 100 plants? Are you going to have 50 plants? Like I think I'm in a 3 by 3 right now, and I'll have ideally 4 plants. So in a 5 by 5, maybe I'd be happy to have like 6 plants, maybe 5 plants, one extra for that extra, 9 square feet versus, oh, I don't know, man, 25 square feet's a lot bigger. But I'm curious for you guys that are running in the 5 by 5s. No, you've got the HPS. You're covering like what, 4 by 4 or 5 by 5 with the 1,000 waters?
Sorry. Yeah. You know how it goes. It's just whatever I get underneath it. But yeah, 4 by 4 is what I have penciled in, and sometimes I'll throw a little one on the side, and sometimes that side one will do really good. Like certain strands, like I swear, like almost like it, just like a little bit less light, kind of indirectly, but still
Hooky
have a
stuff.
report. Yeah, exactly. for sure. But some of it doesn't, some of it does. It's just and then but 4x4 is what I pencil in for sure.
Good stuff. It's a good reference point, and you make it all look good under there. How many plants do you typically do if you like your ideal grow, everything went perfect, your veg went perfect. How big are they getting roughly, and how many of them are you going to cram in that 4x4 net?
Four. I like four, ideally. And then I like to, just depends. Like you said, like, it just depends on my space in my bedroom. Like I showed you guys a little bit of my bedroom. It was so packed, but I gave one away and then I put four in, and like it's so much. I love it. It's just so much more open in there now. But I was just packed to the gills in there. But yeah, I mean, four. Man, I'm just trying to think. Four. 3 feet. I like 3 feet, and usually in fives, sometimes in sixes, sometimes in sevens, and like right now I'm kind of uh just kind of going back and forth with my soil. I've been using Bio 365, and now I'm kind of messing around with Ocean Forest, Fox Farms, kind of going back to my roots, and uh good results with both. And I might try a little bit of Happy Frog. But yeah, back onto the subject. 4 3-footers, ideally, would be what I would want to do myself personally.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for the feedback on that. And in terms of scaling up, I mean, you can just do the math going from 4x4 and scale it out, or 5x5 and scale it out. I'm curious, Spartan, in terms of 5x5, we'll talk in 5x5, and then you can just multiply it by four essentially for the 100 square foot space. Or if there would be something different, you talked about having like those trays, which is something that makes a huge convenience because he has the building ability. If the ceiling is not capped, like I don't think it will be, I do think that having them up on like a table or trays, that one has like a slant so it drains off to the edge, makes it more convenient to work on, just so like the plants are more at
Yeah,
like your human level. You don't have to like bend all the way over, get on your hands and knees to do
exactly.
everything. They're at working level, and it just makes life a lot easier. But yeah, I was going to ask before I got sidetracked thinking about all these different ideas that come up when planning a grow space like this. What do you think in terms of plant numbers, pot sizes? How are you going to use that 100 square feet? Or if you
I
want
have
to
to
keep it
know.
more 5x5 focus and then scale that up?
I have to know what the end product is for one. Like, is the end product flour? Is the end product concentrate?
Smokable flower.
Okay, end product is flour. And is the idea to run all of one strain, or is the idea to pheno hunt lots of strains? Are they wanting to run through lots of strains, or do they want to just run one strain and be happy with that?
I'm not sure yet. I think they're open. I think that part of the genetic supply is going to be coming from maybe the green stock department. And so I'll be supplying maybe clones or seeds or things of that nature. And I think they're going to look for a couple things that grow well, yield well, smoke and taste well, and are preferred. So it's initially going to be like a pheno hunt, followed by they're going to, you know, have that clone center area pumping out whatever is the most popular and best producing.
Then I would, I would totally set up a fucking Dutch table method, pretty much, just fucking rock and roll with the smallest plants possible, hardly any fucking veg at all, maybe a week, and fucking 100 of them in there, whatever. So you're just harvesting a top, a cola, and then bam, 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 you got your harvest done, you got your colas, trim those, which are usually pretty easy to trim a cola over everything else, and boom, you got all A buds. Um, Rock and roll, and you can throw in the next harvest and go from there. And since the volume is so high in plant count, you can pheno hunt to your heart's content. And since you have a lot of headroom, you can just raise the lights if they get crazy tall and it'd still be okay. So that's how I do that.
It's funny because what you're describing is one of my buddies, Crazy Dave in Ohio. He mentioned to me when I was growing in a tiny tent because I came from the more commercial space and then outdoor space and then greenhouse space and then indoor with a tiny tent and a closet space. So I had like the opposite of like most home growers of like starting in a tiny space and going to like much bigger spaces. Like I started in like the most commercial of settings and then like gradually became like, natural and like smaller and smaller and eventually came to the home grow. And so I was thinking more like I did in the greenhouse and commercial space. Like, okay, I got a veg for 60 days and I got a flower in like a 3 gallon pot of cocoa. And I'm in like a 5 foot tall tent in the closet and I like was growing Blue Dream. I just blew the fuck up out of this tent, like, and everything was just crazy and grew all over the place. And I had to use like 6 layers of netting to just like tame this thing so I could harvest it. And that was like my first grow back in a, small, tiny little space. And my one buddy got me on the idea of why don't you grow more plants in smaller pots? And so I went to 1 gallon pots, as many as I could fit in there. I think I had 6 initially. One of them ended up being male. So I ended up with 5. And so I did like a little mini pheno hunt as like 3 sour 76s, which was like a Cali sour O crossed to a Highland Afghani, like 1976 from HSO, back when I was testing for them. And so I got like 3 really cool citrusy, gassy phenos that were like from 11 inches to 12 inches in veg, flipped to 22 to 24 inches. So like doubled in height. Then I had this Platinum Yeti F3, which from 12 inches went up to like 44 inches. So I had like 2 massive ass towers and then like these 3 beautiful, but they were all baseball bat. Like I basically did like the Schwaz technique where I pulled off like all the fan leaves and like not quite Schwaz. I went more Nug buckets style where I like mainlined it, topped it early, spread it out, got that candelabra, and just made like 16 or like 30. I think it was 16 because there was only 1 gallon of media. So each one had 16 just beautiful spears. That was just like beautiful top nug, and then like bud, 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 because I had ripped everything off the plant. Otherwise, it wasn't the best yield, admittedly. That's why I started like not ripping off as much, but it was one of the most photogenic and easiest trims ever. That was like one of the first grows on my page. You could still scroll back and look at that shit, and it smoked phenomenally. And if I was going to do something like this Dream 10 by 10, 100 square foot grow shack, I was thinking the same thing. However, because they're newer to growing and they have a little more space, I would suggest that they do 2 gallon pots just to have a little bit of a buffer because 1 gallon pots are so fast at drying out sometimes and the environment shifts and stuff like that. Having a little bit of extra buffer in the media and just doing maybe a couple waters per day, like an auto water setup where
Like
they
a
can do
flood
like
and drain. Oh God, set up a flood and drain. How sweet
that's
would
a
that
good point. Yeah, just put them in a giant ass flood and drain tub,
be?
soak the
Yeah.
entire thing, let them bottom water essentially, and you've got like a
Two four by
hundred
eight
2 gallon
trays.
pots.
Or you could get those grow grassroots fabric pots, I believe is the one that makes them that make a 4 by 8 living soil bed even that you could stick into a 4 by 8 tray on a table so you don't have to bend over and work on everything. And then hook it up with a fucking auto water, drain to waste if you wanted to, or flood, just flood it from the bottom up like a situation. You could throw as many pots as you want in there. You're not having to water every fucking,
Yeah,
individual.
2020 Mendocino changed out to like this underwatering mat for their grow beds, and their yields actually increased quite a bit, and their water usage actually went down a bit, which I thought was kind of awesome to see. And I wish I would remember the name. I don't know if they post it or talk about it much anymore. I don't know if they're still using it, but
But
for
the
at least a few
autopot,
seasons, it
autopot
was.
has like a little capillary mat thing like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different systems. Autopot would be great for his situation if we're setting up in soil. I think Coco, for the style that he's doing, like you're talking about, like doing Dutch table method, flood and drain, is going to make it so easy and allow them to have a great hunt of whatever, feminized seed we have available and whatever feminized seed they can source at a good price. And seems like their market would be curious to try those flavors and it'll finish in a reasonable time. Then, you know, I think it's all coming together. They're starting to get their stuff together on that end, and it's always fun to have friends, family, etc., get involved. And like, they've known I've been doing this for a long time. And so when I got that call, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make this a topic for the show as we go. And you're gonna get some very good experienced opinions from not just myself, but many other people and the people in the chat. I'll tell them as well. Live chat, we've got amazing people commenting right now that I've been seeing here for years and years that I've seen do very large scale grows to very craft boutique grows. And I think this is more of a trichome forge situation. They want to have the highest quality possible because no matter where you're at in the United States right now, um, you're not competing with the budget stuff, right? For the most part. Like you want to compete against stuff on quality. You want to be better than them on taste, flavor, effect, uniqueness, non-availability. Yeah, pheno hunting your own seeds, you're gonna have stuff that nobody else has. Just straight up fact. Like in growing it in your own environment, it's going to be something that is just unique to you and unique to your whole situation where it's kind of like the movie Pineapple Express. I know it was kind of a silly movie, but the idea that like somebody could come up on a joint if they were familiar enough with weed and just smell a roach or like fucking take a hit off of it and they'd be like, "Oh fuck." In my case, it would be like this is some Durban or this is some Jack Herrer. Sorry, I always mispronounce it. They say Herrer like terror, but it's a lot of people call it Herrera incorrectly, and I always get yelled at for it by at least one guy in the chat. So sorry about that. But it is great smoke, one of my favorites, and it's one of them that I could just be like, "Ooh, that's Jack." But a bunch of people have access to it. But like in the case of like my Sour 76, I had like three phenos of it, so I knew like, oh, the number one, the number two, and the number three. One was lemon, one was orange, and one was lime. So they all had like a different citrus expression with a heavy, gassy hash under it. The orange wasn't orange, it was actually more like tangy. I remember now that I'm thinking about it. In the notes I wrote, it's like tangy, but a lot more potent. Because one of the things I don't like about tangy is like it doesn't get me that high. But that one, I smoked one hit of it, and then I set the bong bowl down. I have a little bowl holder as I do here. And I'm smoking some good shit from camp. So like I've got a little bit of greens still in there. I've taken like two hits off this bowl and I'm feeling good. But with that sour 76 tangerine pheno, I hit it once and I was blasted. Like I took a dab almost. I was so high and it had a very hashy undertone to it, but it had a nice, pleasant tangerine flavor as well. So for someone like myself, it almost like the Donny Burger and mixing like the funky garlicky stuff that like a lot of people really love that, even though I'm like not my favorite. When you mix that with the gas, with the Donny Burger or the burger stuff, it's a little bit more acceptable or palatable for someone like me who just loves gas and fuel, etc. Speaking of, kind of a funny random thought. I have this little lighter here. It's like electric start, right? And it's one of them that's got the little like cover so you don't like burn your finger. You can use them to like light candles or whatever. But I just refilled it. So I got this I won't say the brand, but it's just like 99.99999 pure butane versus like whatever comes in a cheap shitty lighter. And I've been smoking with Bics and Clippers and other shit for years. You definitely taste a fucking difference. And I'm not like obviously I'm not sponsored by a brand, but like if you're
Dude,
using a lighter
100%,
to
Jack.
smoke, some of that gassiness or fueliness or
Dude,
chemicaliness, and some of it even is the and I've got them right here. I'm not elitist. This one's even dead because I used it so much. But this flint, sometimes I've seen people's bowls sparking or joint sparking because as you flick that, you're throwing
yeah.
metallic sparks onto the bowl or onto the joint. And then those start to crackle and pop. So it might not be that it was grown with too much sulfur. It might be that you're flicking a Bic over top of the bowl and making it crackle and pop. I have seen stuff that, maybe had too much sulfur too late or whatever and does snap, crackle, and pop. Even lighter aside, it's doing that all the way through the joint like a freaking sparkler on the 4th of July. So there's that. But yeah, I think I'll just say shout out to Pure Gas or whatever it is to make this. Also, I'll say it's even better than hemp wick. I've done the hemp wick thing. Hemp wick it's dangerous. You can burn yourself. It's hard to snuff out. Sometimes it burns a little longer than you think, but it also tastes, you could taste the beeswax and the hemp. And like it does add a flavor. I think more so than just regular old flame. So
Dude, back in New York, they gave away lighters when you bought a pack of cigarettes at this one place, and yeah, the gas smelled like shit and definitely was nasty, dude. I wouldn't use it, and yeah, I would always get I buy get refillable ones to get my own butane. Perfect.
it's so nice to have it. It's cheap enough. I finally went. It's funny because it's one of those things that actually doesn't, at least in California, doesn't ship. Like you can't get it on Amazon. You can't have it shipped to your door. I think because it's like explosive or whatever. It's just a inconvenience or whatever. I do have a couple of clippers. I like that this, although I'm not a huge fan of the Flint, like this one. Oh, it actually does have a little gas in it still. You can pull the little thing out of the clipper and replace it. So if it ever stops striking, I like just the replaceability. Like less stuff ended up in land. Like yeah, this will end up in landfill, but you still have the whole body or whatever, and then you just put it back in there, and you're good to go. So I don't know. I'm a fan of lighters as a smoker. I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Went through a Zippo phase, but that talk about diesely ass flavor.
Oh, dude,
Holy
nasty.
shit! You can't never one. It's not great for smoking bowls, but two, even smoking a joint with a Zippo. talk about
Dude,
kerosene
I
flavor.
went through a lighter stage. I got like crazy calibras with the pipe lighters, bro. There's some good ones. There's some really cool ones, but they all end up falling apart and being junk, man. Even like the best. Yeah, I got a couple cool ones. Like you break the light, and that's what makes it light. You know, the laser. But anyway, yeah, definitely cool lighter.
Purest hit is the fucking magnifying glass in the sun. Shout out from Joel from North Star Genetics. He'd be on fucking talking shit with Eagle, standing outside his house in the sunshine, literally holding the magnifying glass up, taking solar rips out of a pipe in his hand. Like that's some G shit. OG, straight up. And also, I've got one right here. If you're looking for the straight flavor, it might be hard to dig it out, but fuck it. Yeah, there it is. Bam. I don't love this because of torch, but I guess there's little induction heaters. This is like a little glass glow wand. You can heat up the tip and then you use that to dip into the bowl. So there's no like solvent. And this is actually, I think, the best flavor. Shout out to Vegan Doja. He got me on this. He was using it to smoke hash or hash topped flour bowls. But man, this thing rips. It's just nerve-wracking because if you drop this on yourself, you're gonna burn the fuck out of yourself. It is like and you don't want a scar in this shape. If you're like me, at least. I don't know. I don't want that scar on my body anywhere. It's kind of a cool little, glass quartz rod or art piece or whatever, but I've definitely used it my fair share of times and it gives you a nice pure hit. Because if you grow it so damn well that it's so much better than the shit out there, then you want to appreciate that flavor. And so I understand the people like myself who've done the hemp wick and pure butanes and other shit just to maybe chase that flavor out there. So I don't know. Maybe I get back to grow talk here, but I'm curious if you guys were starting a new one today, and it was more from the eyes of a commercial operation. What kind of genetics would you guys be reaching for? Like if all Jack's seeds don't sprout or his clones don't make it because it's cross country into a hot area in the middle of the summertime, which I've had issues to this particular state with the Open Source Genetics Alliance, which 30 plus people have gotten clones and a handful didn't make it. So I had to reship and some are maybe on pause because availability and things like that. But for the most part, people got them. But some hot states and shipping seeds and clones, it can go awry. So they might have to source them themselves locally or online. And if you're looking for genetics, I'm going to pass it to, I guess, Spartan Grown first this time and ask what would you be grabbing for if you wanted to blow up 100 square feet in terms of just some cool, good shit to smoke, flower wise.
Fortunately, if it's like a commercial situation to where it's not like I'm not going to consume it myself, then it's like
You and your wife will be consuming it as well. Like it's a mom and pop operation. Not that you have a wife, but
me and my wife going to be consuming 50% of it or less than 50% of it,
less than 50%.
then it's not our decision what the fuck we're growing, is it? It's the other people. So we got to find out the other people, whoever that is, whoever the buyer is, and find out what the fuck they like and grow the closest thing we have or can get
I'll
to.
say they're not going to be too picky because I know what they've been smoking before, and it's not a very high bar. So anything they grow is going to be better
Dude,
than that.
I give them the total
Wasn't the best I
opposite
had.
advice to that. I would give them the total opposite advice. I tell them, you whatever you guys like the most, grow that shit, because then they'll be on top of it a lot more. They'll be like, and then I'd even say, as well as perhaps some proven ones, uh, that are that you have access to. But definitely do what you want. Like definitely make that the focal point of your cultivation, and then add other possibilities in just for the sake of variety and in case the ones that you are trying to grow fail, you should have access to, not have a lull in production, even if it is just for you and the wifey, because yeah, having no weed really sucks. And
Amen.
thank the heavens above, it's been a while since I haven't had something to be able to smoke. So yeah, that's my advice anyway. I'd
Yeah,
say
don't
grow
put
what you
yourself in that
want, man. Grow what you
situation.
like the best. Yeah, 100%.
Noah, I'm a big fan of the whole saying, actions speak louder than words. And you've got a lot of killer shit in your garden right now. The duct tape was mentioned earlier. Off the top of your head, do you know every clone in your garden and what are you growing currently? And if you were blowing up a new 10 by 10, would you add anything different?
So I've been paying close attention to everything, and then okay. So obviously you'd want to have at least 20, 10% of what, so like 25%. So one in my scenario, 4 plants under a hood, I'd want at least one that I'm gonna want myself. But then you gotta figure it out. You always gotta figure out what's gonna be yielding. You gotta basically, man, I'm a big believer of you got to be like pretending that this could be your last grow. You have to you can't play around right now, in my opinion. Now, if you're just growing for your own personal head, like, okay, do whatever you want. But if you are like trying to like hit the numbers, you got to have something that yields. You got to have something that's going to hit. You got to have something that's going to, but it can't be, big bud. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants that crap. It's got to be chronic. That's a heavy yielder. So you got to figure that out. Yeah, no, duct tape is the one. It yields just as good as anything, and it's very good. I mean, it consistently will hit 30% testing. I like Sunset Sherbert crosses. Right now, I got a trap fuel. I got a brand new one that I just flipped. I'll show you today. I just put it in that one spot where I was showing you guys last time, right there on the right. I just put a key lime pie pheno of cookies that I just got. So I'm excited to try that. And my trap fuel turned out pretty good.
Fire.
What's that?
That trap fuel looks fire, dude.
Oh,
it looks resiny as all get out.
Bro, and it didn't know, and I let it stress. I let it go a day or two late. I really flooded it at the end. Did like tried to stress it to see if it would harm. Nothing. I didn't see one banana, no nothing. So I'm definitely gonna run that again. And yeah, it's of course, you know how it goes. It's not a great yield. It's not a bad one, but I haven't even. It's only been in the rack for like 2 or 3 days, so I don't really even know. But I can just tell by looks. But it was pretty easy trimmer. That's another thing, man. Some of as you guys know, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, but some strains like you're like, wow, that's killer. It's a nightmare to trim it. And if it's like literally like, because I trim all my own stuff. Like I was just in a Discord room and they're like, oh, does anybody want any trimmers? And it's just like, I cannot imagine. Like, I don't even know how much money I'd want if you wanted me to work at your house for 8 hours. I don't think 25 an hour, I would do it. I mean, is the electric bill due? Maybe I might, but man, whew, dude, 4 hours at a trimming table is like backbreaking to me. I'm older though, so. But yeah,
Bro,
so
I'm
I
young and
also
my
want
hands
to
are
consider
fucked.
that. Is someone else trimming it? Because someone else is trimming it, then that can also open up some more options. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be a wifey trim operation, I'm pretty sure, and he'll help out when available, but she's going to be trimming and smoking a little
Oof.
along the way.
So, and then I almost said something when Spartan was talking earlier about growing all those. I was like, so your team no larf, because that's another thing. Like some of this stuff, you're just looking at it like, damn, I don't even want to trim this. Like, and then it's like you spend so much time in it. I mean, yeah, of course you can throw it in the hash bin, but yeah.
I'll teach them
no,
hash.
I'm
We'll get
team
to
no
hash at some
larf.
point, but that's not the primary. And their market doesn't really have a lot of people requesting it, so it's mostly a smoke flower kind of
Well, but
No
situation.
what do they
larf.
like? Indica, sativa, hybrid?
No
I think it's
larf.
kind of a little bit of everything, but I think that like a lot of places, maybe hybrid and indica is more popular with the people that really like sativas, really like the sativa. So there's
Yeah,
going to be
that's
some amount of each. Maybe
typical.
sativa hybrids that can fill that void. For like, I would go to like a Jack the Ripper or a Vortex, something like that, that can finish in that 8, 9 week frame, give you a really nice sativa high, but not be so crazy that it's like 4 to 6 times the height. It's like a 2 to 3 times, maybe 3.5 times the veg height, depending on how you're growing, from veg to flower, and it'll put out some buds that are, you know, comparable yield and respectable size and appearance too. That's part. I mean, some of it I hate to say is still bag appeal. If we want buds that look good, we look before we eat, or so to speak, in some senses. And especially in those kinds of markets, if you have a nice bag and you take a shot of one of those buds and be like, "Yo, I got that new harvest in. Check out what we got. It's dried and cured." And they see that picture of that nug. Oh, I want, a zip. I want a pound. I want whatever. That's how things work around those parts. So it's I love that it's like a really cottage industry in a sense because artisans can be rewarded for craft. And it's a space where cash is still king. It's a space where unregulated markets are still king. And we can fuck around and have fun. I think
Let's go.
let freedom ring, boys. I mean,
Yes.
this is America after all. And growing cannabis is one of the greatest American pastimes. Literally multiple presidents, Ben Franklin, George Washington, from the very fucking start. They've been growing hemp, so they called it. But they didn't have THC tests back then, boys. They were smoking on that shit, that sweet hemp. They're getting high. So
Thinking.
for thousands of years, people have been using it, and it's a sacred plant and one that should be cherished and celebrated and grown. And there's so many protections from hemp to religious loopholes to medical purposes at this point. I think that we've got, even if you're in a place that's fairly heavily overregulated, a little bit of a shield behind you and an ever-changing landscape because the Schedule 3 thing is happening. And unfortunately, the hemp loophole is kind of being shut, and that's fucking a lot of people in a lot of markets. But like I said earlier, it's freedom. People are going to do what they're going to do. They shut down the California market for medical for a little while and opened up the adult use and cut 45,000 people out and thought that they were just going to fold their hands and stop. Well, they saw it very quickly. That didn't happen. And there's a whole lot of other states that were being supplied up until recently. Like it was almost exclusively California fueling a lot of the different stuff. But I want to pass it to the American one because he did let us know at the top he's only going to be here for an hour. So I want to give him a chance. It's a little past an hour to give his final
Yeah.
thoughts and shout outs before he goes running.
Thank you, Jack. Good to see everyone in the panel, everyone in chat. I'm the American one. You guys know where I'm at. Have a great week and keep growing and yeah, stay out of trouble or don't get caught. All right, peace out.
Later, bro.
Later, Tao.
Cheers, Tao. Always great having you. Good dude. He's been growing for a very long time, just like many on this panel. It's funny. I always like to belittle my own experience at times, and then I remember some people like freak out when they get to interact with me about cannabis growing. So it's all different levels and scales of experience and backgrounds and things like that. But I just love and appreciate the plant so much. Like I'm not a big fan of the whole piss measuring or dick measuring contest of who does the biggest, baddest, whatever. I'm just like a chaser of quality, like a flavor chaser. Like if I want to be anything, it'd be a taste maker. I want to make people understand like what is available and maybe shape the landscape of uh, just people understanding what's out there and having options to pick some of the best shit possible because we can all do it way better than any commercial operation. Just like with a little bit of know-how, a little bit of effort, not a little bit of effort, a lot of bit of effort and a little bit of know-how, you can fucking crush it and grow some absolute dang. Like their very first crop, I'm expecting will have at least 8, if not like 8.5 out of 10 or better, bud. Like because we're gonna set it up perfectly from the ground up. They're gonna have experience from this show, from myself helping them out along the way, and I'm gonna make sure that things go well and there's resources available. So it's cool to see like although my Blue Dream grow didn't grow as optimally as my Sour 76 grow, I still got a bunch of flower that was smokable and a bunch of hash. Like I still have hash in my freezer from years ago from that still, which just blows me away. And it still smokes really good. Like I can't believe it, how good it smokes and how the terps still stick. A lot of it has become more hashishine, so it's getting a little bit more of that. If you know, you know. It's got a very particular taste and flavor. I tend to really like it. I'm a Frenchy cannoli temple ball hash style kind of guy, but yeah, I think it's a different thing for sure. It's not like BHO fresh or fresh hash rosin that was made with like a Slimer pheno of the Chernobyl from Subcool. So there's different levels and different flavors, and it's just like Tao was talking about earlier. Like there's stuff where it's going to be cured past a year that maybe has benefits, and it's like yeah, but literally no one is asking for it right now. Like unregulated market, regulated market, no one is like, hey, can I get that 1 year old plus stuff? Like unless it's like at a huge discount. I was the guy actually once upon a time. I got cherry pie from a place blank blank organics, and that's not the actual name. I'm just blanking them because I don't want to give them any credit. But the place that I got it from, it wasn't selling. Like no one else wanted it. It like they lowered the price, lowered the price, lowered the price. It still wasn't selling. And I was buying like an eighth here and like a quarter there or whatever, like along with other stuff that I was ordering for my medical needs. And I eventually got offered like the rest of it. They had like 2 or 3 ounces and they're like, they gave it to me for some absurdly low price. So like, I guess shout out to them for that. But like things after the fact were went very south. I feel like unwarrantedly, unrelated to that. But uh, it made me realize that, some people are okay with older stuff, like myself in that situation. I cared about the medical effect. I didn't necessarily care that much about the flavor. Like the flavor got a little bit worse and a little bit worse as it got older and older and older. But it still had the effect that I was looking for. But even more so, actually, it got more oxidized and became more CBN rich, I'd imagine. And some of the terps that were making me sleepy that I was appreciating in it were growing in number, or the ones that were retained were maybe the stuff that would have been more uplifting had off gassed way earlier, so it wasn't preventing me from going to sleep like fresher bud would. So I think that he had a great point with that, and I don't want mean to ever belittle that because it's a little esoteric and within the know, bleeding edge kind of stuff where experienced growers and smokers will know that kind of stuff, but the general public is like that's way above their head. They don't even know what terpenes are. That
That's why I
just
was kind of steering in that direction or trying to drive that point home. It's like you got to know who you're growing it for. Like I come from the caregiver market, so like 12 plants are for this one patient, and then the 12 plants are for this patient, and what works for this person might not work for that person. So if we're talking medically speaking, it really makes a difference what you're going to grow, because if I grow something that doesn't work, they're not going to fucking want that shit, right?
yeah.
Doesn't matter how beautiful it tastes or how, great it was grown. That doesn't matter. So,
Like
same
my wife
like
doesn't
what
love
you just said.
sativa.
Or what you
She
were just saying too, for you, like that cherry pie, even, that's you couldn't continue the operation if over 50% of the operation wants what you're not growing. That's not, so you have to take that, as much as that sucks, and that's what sucks at the commercial level, is this that takes a little bit of that choice away. You can't just grow everything that you want.
Yeah, I think the first run it'll be like a little bit of a taste test, just like the cups that you go to that everyone puts out
Yeah.
an ounce jar, and then everybody comes around and sniffs everything, and they like either buy or get a free nug or whatever, and like whatever nug is left last is like the shittiest one has the most stuff in it, and the best one is gone first. And it's like even if a group of 12 growers gets together, we're all gonna pretty much come together and be like, oh yeah, fucking Joe is the one who's got the chronic, and we're smoking his shit because his shit's the best shit. And we're all lucky that he's here because he knows his fucking shit. Or like Noah or Spartan, if they're in your circle, like that is that guy. Like Spartan's kids calling his stuff like dab weed, which it really does feel that way when you're smoking. I've smoked enough commercial stuff now that like is poor quality, dry, old, just not pleasant, versus like a good homegrown bud. When you hit that, it's just like you really only need one hit to feel fantastic, versus maybe smoking bowl after bowl or joint after joint to get some sort of effect. Quality stuff. Yeah, good time. Most people ultra addicted. Like it's gonna put people's eyes low pretty quick. You're gonna see some red eyes. You're gonna see some smiling faces, giggles, and hungry people for a lot of, for most part, when they start getting hit with some over the top dank ass like sticky icky that shit that like you push it up against the wall and it sticks. Just doesn't fall.
Like my son came over the other day and to pick up a bag. And I was like, "Hey, you want a dab?" He says, "Yeah, I'll take a dab." I was like, "Good, I got some GMO," and I just love blowing his hair back. I'm like, "You get your own size, whatever size you want. You do what you want," and I heat it up for you, man. Wow, man, he came out there, his eyes were watering. You gotta
Even micro
respect
dabs can
GMO.
get you.
Yeah, you gotta respect GMO too, man. Woo.
It's potent. It'll sting
Yeah.
the old nostrils and sinuses,
Oh yeah, it's an assault. It's a full-on assault.
especially back in the days of like the hot titanium nails.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, that's insane. Then you're just choking for breath, throat's on fire. You just
I
burn
don't miss those days. I'm
your
so happy that we've
esophagus. Yeah.
elevated quite a bit
Yes.
into a more advanced society of smoking culture. a better something for a more civilized time or whatever to adapt a meme. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
smoking technology has gotten better.
I'm considering even upgrading and going electric on either the torch and go with a e-nail or a ball vape uh for the bong. So I don't know. I think that'll be cool because I can get rid of a lot of clutter off the desk and a lot of noise. Like when I do, do the show, I could be smoking and making like no noise. It's just electronic heat. I think that could be pretty cool.
That is nice.
That'll
No,
be my next upgrade, I think.
no torch is a great benefit. I know it's not the same. They're way smaller and way less intense dabs, but I'm a Puffco, uh, whatever XL, the new or
Yeah,
Peak XL, the whatever the Opal thing, this thing, it does the job. We have a bigger one called a Dab X, which does have bigger rips, but I think the Puffco is the tastiest, and we'll just take multiple dabs and get really nice, tasty, and we'll like pass it back and forth and like keep hitting it over and over until like it starts to taste shitty. And it you
starts
get it,
burning. Yeah,
yeah, it's just like, oh, that doesn't taste, it starts off tasting pleasant. And the first like, I don't know, she'll hit it, I'll hit it, she'll hit it, I'll hit it, and that's usually it. So like we both get
yeah,
two inhales out of it, the little processing, or I have like the old school cap, even though it's a newer one. I like the little lift, and so you can get the air moving through there a little bit better. And essentially, instead of taking like one rip, I take like 20 mini rips. I'm just like boom, 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 boom. It's like when you have a bong, you can light the bowl and like put it in the bong and pull it out, put it in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out, and like keep clearing the bong like multiple times in a row within one big inhale if you have large lung capacity. So it's a I don't know, just a fun way to get the largest possible rip. I'm a efficiency fan, so as long as you're not like straining yourself and vomiting or something from taking such a massive hit or blacking out, which I've seen, unfortunately, people do both. Not good. A cough is fine, here and there, and as long as you're not coughing for like an hour after or something, I think it's well within reason to get the effect of a medicine that can last hours and really, truly, I think, change your life for the better in so many ways, short, long term, etc. But yeah, gotta. I want to try the ball vape. I had a, and I loved it. The Vapor Brothers vape, just a little desktop vape, and I would run it through my bong, and that was like the closest I've gotten. But I always go back to smoking a bong. Like that is my go-to at home. There's just like nothing better, in my opinion. Like vape high is different than smoking high, and I just think that there's something left behind, and I think that you do get maybe even more of the stuff that's in the product. Obviously, when you're vaping, you're getting like slowly extracting it, but the intensity of each hit. And that's why I want to do ball vape myself as well eventually, because that looks the most like a smoke. And you can actually smoke the product if you're not careful with a ball vape, if you run it hot enough. It's able to basically smoke the flower. And they're pretty cool, man. I think that it'd be worth investing in something like that eventually. Having cats, I don't like anything that's plugged in and super hot that they could like run suddenly and like catch their tail on as they jump up on to something. They're not the most well behaved, admittedly. And so I worry about like that with the e-nail. That's why I didn't ever go with the e-nail. And I think the ball vape might be similar. I will say the box vape, they never really pulled it off the table or anything, but I always kind of worried about that, even though it was like pencil sharpener style. It was kind of like sunk within there and you had to like put the glass wand onto it. And it was a little bit fun. Eddie Bravo, one of my jujitsu coaches, legend. Uh, he you know, had that in one of his jujitsu DVDs that I bought, Mastering the Rubber Guard. So shout out to him and getting people into consuming cannabis in a healthy way and showing that a high level athlete, world class athlete who beat one of another family that I've done jujitsu with, the Gracie family, Hoyler Gracie at the I think it was ADCC way back in the day, but I'm getting off topic again. So, but it was related to cannabis at least this time and vaping and the ball vape versus the old school 1999 Vapor Bros box thing that still kicks ass today. I've got it somewhere in storage. My wife's like, don't throw it away because you're eventually going to want to do it again. I'm like, you're right. I'll eventually pull it out and wipe it off and plug it in, and it'll be working just like it has for years and years. So I love stuff that's like that, simple, reliable. I know a lot of people are like Volcano Vape fans as well. And there's Air Riser. I had a Air Riser Extreme Q, which kind of had like the Volcano style bag and the whip style. So it was like a little bit of both. And never quite hit quite the same way as the vapor bros for me. So, yeah, but everybody finds their different thing. I don't know. I know you're also not the vape kind of guy, Spartan grown. You've tried a
Oh,
few different things and never end up sticking with it.
nope. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see it. 'Cause this one I'm told is not like the others. So I'll see, I guess.
Exactly. Noah the grow, you don't necessarily talk too much about your consumption methods. Are you an old school roll a doobie? Do you smoke bongs? Do you smoke pipes? How do you like to consume it?
All the above there. I'm a big weed guy. I concentrate's just a little too much for my lungs, but it's funny is I always enjoy like that first hit or two off of a pipe, like old school. Like I don't know why, just you're going around out in the woods and you got a pipe and but bongs, I'm a big bong guy. I have a good friend of mine who's a huge bong guy, and yeah, no, I definitely would be the bong if I came out about just old school. Admittedly, I know it's not probably the healthiest way, but it's just I got some old school pipes I've had for a long time. I used to have a friend that used to blow glass, and I actually had a pretty cool bubbler that had my name in it, but it also had my ex girlfriend, so I gave that away to a friend. And but yeah, no, I definitely would be more. I like glass, and I like just old school Bic lighter, out in nature and pull out a pipe. And I mean, I used to go on adventures just to find a spot, away from everyone to smoke, especially when I was younger, ride a bike, walk, hike. And it's just a fun way and kind of part of the experience, especially back when I was younger.
I love it in nature, man. When I go looking for turkeys, I'm out there in the middle of fucking nowhere, miles away from any living human, and there's just something about when you've like get to find that spot, you can have a little bit of a moment of peace in nature and have enjoy a little cannabis. And in the case that I was doing it, it was like I hiked in really far and I smoked a really nice uplifting sativa, and I'd hiked into the same spot before dozens of times. And I knew that hike out was brutal. And I was almost like, man, I was a little defeated in my head before. It's like, I'm a little tired. This is gonna fucking suck. Smoked that sativa and it made me feel so good. I trotted my happy ass out so fast. Like it was the fastest I'd ever hiked it out. And I was like, oh man, definitely gotta make this a more regular occurrence in this particular spot because when it's tough like that, physically and mentally, sometimes it was really I was in plenty enough good shape apparently to do it. I just was beating myself up mentally about like, man, it's a little bit of a slog. Like it's not easy. But just that little pick me up, it was like a single dog walker joint, like not even a big amount, a few good puffs of some good shit. And it just changed my whole perspective and made the whole day so much better. I used to have a little brass, I think they still make them. I know they do actually because Bohemian Chemist had some cool custom ones done, but prototype and everybody's knocked them off. But it's like a pipe and poker. It's like this little brass pipe with like a cover, like you can like store your weed in there. They're like this big or whatever, and you can have them banging around in a toolbox or whatever, and it's not going to break. But they've been making them for a long ass time, and they get a little bit hot after you use them, but it's good for a quick little bowl here and there for something like that on the go, or the old school dugouts, little single one hitters that have like the little ground up weed stash. So a lot of different ways to consume flower on the go that we're fortunate to have. That you know, better than smoking out of a soda can. I saw Spartan just drinking out of a aluminum can over there, and I was like, oh no, I hope he's not holding this up as a potential smoking device because that was actually the first way that I consumed cannabis, unfortunately. So, but yeah, that's definitely not the way to go.
No, definitely not. I
You have a
like
bunch
this
of cool
joint,
glass.
man. Oh, I think the best portable way to smoke is a joint. And like you're saying, those the one hitters, and I'm not trying to be a dick, and I wish I had a lower tolerance, but one hitter, what the fuck? That's fucking around, man. I need a joint or
It's
something
not
that,
gonna get you there.
yeah, yep, yep. So for me, that's kind of,
My buddy with low tolerance likes them.
yeah. That's what I was just saying. I was like, I would need to have a joint, man. And a dog walker, I might be able to get away with that if it's a really, really, really good stuff inside. Or how about like a nice fucking donut joint,
I was
It's
gonna say
got
hash
concentrate.
infused, little Keith
Yeah.
powder in there, a little
Now
temple
now you're
ball,
talking.
roll it out and put
Now
it in the
you're
middle.
talking. Now we're treating ourselves.
I just did the keef infused in that particular situation, and it was like the same strain, sativa, whatever, and it was nice. It was really good. So I love Remo from Remo Nutrients. Always calls it supercharging a joint whenever you kind of add something that's not just flour. And I'm not talking like tobacco, but like hash, keef, fucking whatever you got, dry sift. Um, I love that whole donut method. Sometimes it makes the burn a little funky if you do too much. You got to get that snake the right thickness. Sometimes I actually will just break it up into like little chunks and like pepper those in versus
Yeah,
trying to have the whole snake. Because sometimes that snake, it's like it gets burning at its own temperature that's different than the rest of the flour. And when I break it up, almost like peppering it in, it just likes to melt and burn along with the flour around it better, in my experience.
I agree with you. But if you get some, I haven't done it myself, but I've smoked a lot of nice donut that really popular up here in Michigan anyway. And it's almost a cigar size, and you can fucking smoke on it forever, and they burn forever. And they're always real tasty because they're infused with that rosin in there. I think I don't know for a portable thing, other than it's not waterproof, I guess, and it's a little bit fragile. You can't like bend it and shit. Man, I don't know if there's much better than that I found.
They come in like little glass tubes and shit too, or you can get a little glass
True,
tube
yeah,
to
like a
carry it
doob
around like a
tube
little
thing.
doob tube. And
Yeah,
I even have a little like Smokey the Bear fucking don't start forest fires. It's like a fireproof, waterproof little snuffer. You can like it snaps open and you can like put it in. It's almost like a Mylar bag that you can put the if it's still cherry and if you don't smoke it all the way down. A lot of times glass tips and shit, you can literally smoke it to the last puff. So you don't even have to worry about the
those are nice. I like those.
shout out to Be Real. Fucking, I met him at Cali Vibes. He was cool as shit. Funky Feel tips. Those glass tips are legit. He like partnered with them. I think Roar even had a little partnership. We got like the Roar Valentine's Funky Feel tip, and I used them for a long time. I even like the little. They feel kind of like old school, like French lady smoking a cigarette, but like my wife fucking is handing it to me, so I'm not going to judge. The little glass holders, they're like yay big, and it's got like a joint tip, and then it like
Yeah.
narrows down, and you can kind of see the smoke, and it cools it just a little bit more, and it keeps that flame just a little bit further away from your face. It makes it just a little easier to ash, like on a ashtray further away. It's a fucking upgrade right there to the smoking side of things, and I know we're getting on the consumption side, and I don't really give a shit because we're an hour and a half in. And we did a whole lot of talking on that 10 by 10 I thought we were gonna go maybe like half hour. We went over like an hour on that. So, and I did mean to open up the panel to everybody. We probably have even more great opinions if I would have looked at my watch or kept a better hand on the time. But it's already half an hour past when I normally open up the panel, so I'm just gonna keep on cruising at this point because it's gonna be the 10 by 10 episode, not the open chat question and answer panel anymore because most of our focus was on that. And the second half is after you have that beautiful harvest, how to best consume it, and maybe some honestly tips, tricks, and ideas for how to package and market the stuff to the people that you're going to be having consume it. Because there's different ways. Like some people do like pre-rolls, and if you have the availability of like a little knock box, which they're out there. You can grind up a bunch of your stuff, especially like we're talking about lowers. If you're not going to make the lowers into hash or small buds into hash, I just saw when I was getting that um, butane, a Santa Cruz shredder that has like a steering wheel on the top. It's like a giant weed grinder that it literally has a like a metal or aluminum steering wheel on the top that you just like push down on and start grinding up like pounds at a time or something. It's just like the most absurd. Like I guess, people are doing this. But yeah, and I guess there's like also like the raw like shredder versus grinding. I personally I don't think most people are at the level that they're gonna understand the difference between
Seen that same
grinded
thing,
versus
dude.
shredded versus powdered.
I've seen that same fucking thing, and I swear that steering wheel is made out of like complete like welded on iron fucking bar or some shit. Like half
So
of that is
heavy.
just yeah, I was just saying half of that has to be just for the fucking weight, just to push down for him. I'm like, it's crazy.
Like I was talking before the podcast, I'm getting really into cast iron cooking because I'm trying to get away from any of like the non-stick cookware. And cast iron pans, the one down, there's probably many downsides, but like one of the downsides I see is they're so heavy. Like there's a game like Smash Bros where there's Princess Peach and like one of the things she does is like whack somebody with a frying pan or golf club or whatever. But like when you see that frying pan, if you think of a cast iron pan, like one of them, I think like 12-inch pan is 8 pounds. So it's no joke, man. You lug that thing around. It is heavy duty, but it'll outlast me, I'm sure, because like cast iron, it just sticks around and keeps on cooking. So shout out to it. And I know that there's a bunch of other options out there: stainless steel, carbon steel, anything that's not Teflon coated or nonstick, that's going to end up in a landfill in, less than a decade or whatever. So I'll get off my
Or
cast
inside of
iron
you.
soapbox. Yeah, inside you, chemicals inside you. That's more of a concern because everyone ends up scratching the surface and releasing the fucking shit and ends up eating it. And I don't know. It's not good. Not good. I think if we're going to care as much as we do about our plants and being organic and healthy and stuff like that, it's like in Michigan, and my family in Ohio was in that zone where the Canadian fires, the smoke was messing them up. But there's like a meme. It's like, oh, everyone concerned about the inhaling the smoke, and then they go to the store and ask for the $1 or $2 pre-roll. It's like they were worried about the air quality, but they're smoking the fucking $1 pre-roll. I
I
think,
said that to you.
yeah, that was Noah. Noah sent me that meme. That's funny, but it's a unfortunate reality. Shout out to the people in Canada. They actually invented that sweet plane that like dips into the water and like basically sucks up like I think it's I don't know some maybe thousands of gallons of water, and then it just dumps it onto wildfires. And for some reason they're like the only country that makes it. Maybe they have some sort of patent or I don't know, but maybe it's just so difficult to manufacture.
Oh,
They
seems
come
like
down
they
to
have less
California and
fires.
help our ass all the time in the wildfire. So I feel sorry for the people in those areas that are affected, both Ohio, Michigan, and the surrounding areas with the smoke, but especially Canada fighting the fires right now because that is a serious stuff. We've seen it here firsthand plenty of times.
In Minnesota as well. So there's big fires out there. So we had 1-2 punch Minnesota was, right to our, what would that be? That would be the west of us. So it's blowing east
Northwest,
towards us. Yeah. And so it's blowing down towards us. And same thing with Canada was to the north of us and it was blowing down, mixing, and it's crazy.
it's rough, man. It's rough. It's makes you appreciate when you do have good quality air.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clean air and clean water is something that should be, I think, fought for at all costs. And when it if it's like human caused, we should hold people accountable. Like when there's trains that flip over and dump a bunch of chemicals or things like that, also happening in Ohio and stuff like that. Maybe a year or so ago back, maybe longer. But yeah, back on the
That
growing side of
happens way
things.
more than you think, man. If you really look into how many train accidents there are, it's this around these parts.
Scary.
Yeah.
There was been like several since that one. So it just is a reminder that the systems aren't perfect. They have to be maintained, and sometimes there's nefarious actors even. People out there, all it takes to derail a train is a small little fucking device, like a metal train derailleur that a single person could carry. So it's unfortunately that there's people out there that'll do crazy shit, and there's also just very poorly maintained infrastructure. Like look at all the water situations. Talking about clean water, like Flint, Michigan, and other places in the country that had like fuel in their water. You could light their faucets on fire. So yeah, bigger concerns than my 99.99% butane versus the whatever comes in my clipper. But I don't want to get into the politics of all of that. It's a much more of a complex, multifaceted issue than we're ever going to tackle on a show like this. And some people get really heated and spirited in those aspects of the political debate. If I'm going to get political about anything, it's going to be cannabis and making it more open source and more open access, and just being a person who's kind of uh, conscientious objector, or whatever it's called when you morally oppose a law and you continue to just continue to do whatever anyway. So, um, civil disobedience is the term I was thinking about. And I think civilly disobeying a lot of the bullshit cannabis regulations in order to, help yourself get the medicine you need, or help friends and family get the medicine they need, or just further this plant's growth and cultivation. And because personally, I think every plant grown everywhere has a benefit at the end, as long as you're not spraying it with a bunch of pesticides and crazy shit, or you're not ignoring the molds and mildews and doing stuff to cover it up and like passing off dirty product, which is like a very small nefarious percentage of the market. But a lot of like the home grow, the people that we're talking to and focusing on, are doing it with the best intention, trying to grow the best shit possible, as clean as possible, to benefit as many people as possible. So That's why I'm so passionate about spreading the plants around as much as possible.
I just can't stop growing it, and it's becoming a problem, especially at the summertime, because then I use the summertime for like, oh, I take more clones than I need, but oh, they're both rooted. I don't have to kill this. I can just throw this outside, right? And before you know it, you've got way more plants than you need outside. But you don't want to, get rid of them because they all look really good.
You reminded me of something, which is the Open Source Genetics Alliance is going to take a little temporary pause on the Jack front because I let it take over my whole entire grow, and I'm not even growing anything for myself. I'm just growing clones at this point and trying to get as many out as possible. And with the summer shipping and stuff, like I know that there's people out there that are putting them in coolers and putting ice packs in there. My point is to try to keep this as low cost as possible, to be as affordable as possible. And if I start getting into that shit, it just cranks the expenses up so much. And reshipping, like I've always done the reshipment costs on me. So like I have it all built into like one clone, at least one reshipment I can handle. Usually two is a very rarity, but I just want to get as many people to plant as possible. And I know realistically, like Noah was talking about, you got to do something for you, or maybe Noah Tao said this, you got to grow something that you like. And right now, I got to actually get my own shit flowering. I got to have my own fresh source of my own homegrown. As much as I'm spoiled by great access around here, it's there's nothing like your own homegrown harvest for yourself, especially when you've selected genetics that you're excited about and you've seen them. It's almost like when you cook a meal, when you see it start to finish, there's a little bit of excitement that builds as you're smelling it and seeing it like go from that simple thing to a delicious, tasty meal on your plate. Um, there's a little bit of probably a proudness and a little ego pat on the back that maybe we all get, whether we admit that or not, to smoking our own shit. We all, somebody jokingly says like we like the smell of our own farts or whatever, but I think it's more like we grow shit that we appreciate because we're going to select genetics that we find in the past that we enjoyed or stuff that we heard is good, and then we select for the ones that we like the most. And when we harvest it, it's like, well, it's all of our own stuff, so we're gonna grab the best shit first or whatever and smoke that stuff or preserve it in a way that makes sure it doesn't get ruined so that we can appreciate it over time. But it's just nice to have that access to tons of killer cannabis and no better way than doing it yourself, growing it at home. And I'm gonna have to put the Open Source Genetics Alliance on pause for that reason right now because I'd rather have my own homegrown for a little while and get reset and have things come back together in the fall when shipping is a lot easier and things are a lot cooler in a lot more of the country. There's literally like record highs, multiple places, and it's still early. It's like barely summer started. Like I don't even know if the summer started. So I just wanted to give that update. I know it's kind of late in the show, but Noah the Grow, I mentioned he's going to show off the garden earlier, and here it is, looking beautiful as always. These 4x4 spaces underneath. How many hoods you got going right now? Two?
Just two. Yep, just two. And we're having fun. And this is going to be my key lime right here. And then one of these, I just put these in, so I have to look at the bottom of them. But one of them is a trap fuel, and one's a duct tape, and one is a Sherbacio. And that's that little one I was talking about. See, I got the bottoms of that duct tape, just kind of
Oh, yeah.
experimenting, and why not? And just having fun with it.
Oh, for sure.
And just it's funny is I was thinking that, it goes sometimes you're like, I don't know if that's going to make sense to everybody else, but I swear it also helps color them up. So it's fun.
How long do you feel like you're gonna leave it there? A week or
Just
so?
it depends, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
a week is probably where I always pencil in, you know what I'm saying? Like, and dude, this duct tape for some reason it didn't fill in as much. It stretched pretty good. This one didn't. And but it looks really, really frosty. I'll post some pictures in our group chat.
You can tell it's dense too, dude.
Oh yeah, really dense. And this is that's got about 10 days left, 8, 10, 12, who knows, But yeah, just having fun. And then dude, I put the hood all the way up, so we'll see. I'm gonna lower it slowly. I've been just kind of playing around, I'm always fine tuning stuff, and the less I grow, the more time I have to kind of
Play around with it.
I'm 15 years in and I'm still fine tuning it. You know what I'm saying? So Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, dude. That's what keeps fucking growing fun is, man. You got to always try to tweak shit, man. You can always have a little bit room to improve shit. And then you grow in a different plant all the fucking time, right? We have a few keepers, but we always got something new in there. So you always got to fucking try to figure them out.
Dude, that's so funny you say that. Is because one of the most underrated aspects of growing is how much fun it is. If you like to do it, my uncle one time told me you come from like generational farmers from like Missouri, like in the late early 1800s. My whole family's been farmers. I love it so much. I love growing, and I'll always grow, man. I just will, even if it's just one tent and one
Same here.
LED, and I'll do something. I just it's
Even if I
it's
have
too
to
much
run out
fun.
into even if I got to run out into the woods to a little secret spot.
Hopefully it
Why
never gets
not?
back to that,
Why not?
but I would. It's like
Yeah.
even if I got locked away, I'd try and get seeds smuggled into me and try and have a little plant growing in like
Whoa,
the
that's the
tomato patch.
commitment there. Holy cow.
Well,
Throw it
that's
up.
going up, man.
Be like
That would be pimp deal. That would be fucking sick.
there's some places that actually have some pretty interesting shout out the same guy, Crazy Dave. Had an unfortunate situation where he went away for a little while and he learned a lot about cultivation in there, like growing tomatoes and other stuff. Grew thousands and thousands of pounds for local shelters and stuff of good fresh produce and used what he learned on the inside to cultivate his own killer shit when he got out. So shout out to him because the situation he went through is kind of bullshit. If you're ever in a situation where somebody does some crazy shit to you, I know that a lot of us are trained to not associate with law enforcement, but sometimes it's your best bet to be the first one to make that call. Especially, like I said, if you're just like defending yourself or trying to like get the fuck out of a situation like this guy was, he was driving and then drove away from a scene and got caught up on it. But shout out to him for fucking being a cool ass dude and got him hooked up with some genetics a long time ago, hypothetically, allegedly, and he grew some killer stuff. I wish I would have linked up. I also got to apologize to Vark Dog and to my other buddy Crazy Dave in Ohio. My schedule was so tight when I was there, just like spent all the time with family, so I didn't get to. I had one guy, I had great resources and offers of amazing cannabis from both of them. And even though they were just barely outside the path, it didn't work out with my schedule. So I wish I would have had the time. I need to make my trips a little longer so that I
Stop.
can
Mark
link
Dog's
up.
got some good stuff, man. He spoiled me.
Oh, I know. I've seen it. I've talked to him. I know he knows his stuff and I've seen it. It looks amazing. He's growing the genetics that I love. I just it'd been a long time since I made it back to Ohio and fortunately I got to spend it all with family and had a bunch of great times. And yeah, I don't know. It was interesting uh, for a lot of different reasons. So I'm glad it all worked out how it did, and I know there will be future trips coming up. So I'm gonna relink. It's not like they're going anywhere soon. So I think I'm gonna be back there in November again. So
So cool to have friends everywhere, isn't it?
we're spoiled, man.
Yeah, we are.
We get very spoiled with this space, and I think we pay our dues to some respect. We're out here putting out our few hours a week, and then we get to link up with really cool people and see that they're growing like really interesting and sometimes similar stuff in similar ways, and knowing what they're doing. And I just think the average home grower who commits at least a year to it and sticks with it for more than a year is going to grow stuff that's so much better than anything you can find commercially anywhere that you travel. Like I'm always going to be like, oh, if some random listener is like, I'm in X country, if you come here, hit me up. I will definitely hit them up and try that stuff. Like, and it, be expecting it to be as good or better than anything I could get at like a coffee shop in Amsterdam or dispensary in Canada or whatever it is. So shout out to all the home growers out there, whatever country you're in, US, international. It's humbling that we actually have we're an international show. So it's amazing. It's not like we're millions and millions of people. We got thousands of people out there, and of that, handfuls of them are in different countries, and it's so cool and humbling to hear from them too, what their regulations are like, what their situations are like, and how ultimately it comes down to a lot of places now allow people to grow a small number of plants in a small space for a personal reason, for medical or adult use or whatever. And it's cool that that is the reality. Unfortunately, a lot of it is having to take place inside. There's worse things that electricity is being used for. I think a lot of the AI slop that we're seeing generated for the fuck of it, like I saw some really dumbass shit. That made me think, like, man, is this really worth it? But there's a lot of benefit there, but I'm not trying to be a hater. But I'm also not gonna like feel too bad about my little 3x3 grow tent with an LED and a 1x3 veg space attached to the side. Or anybody out there who's blowing it up even at a 10x10 scale. Like, especially, oh, in that dude's case, he's got solar offset. So this motherfucker is gonna be able to crank the electricity as much as possible. So we can run as much AC as possible. We can run as much
Yeah.
humidification, dehumidification. He's gonna be doing it all, doing it the most. He's like, when he told me the number of panels, I was like, oh man, you probably have too many panels. Like you probably should get a battery bank and like set that rig up and start selling the shit back to the fucking state. Like you can make some money on that. Like you got a solar farm, bro. Like that's gonna be
Yeah.
as profitable as the fucking green that you're growing in there. Like shit. Fucking he's got a I don't know. I'm excited for him. He's been talking about it for years, and there was a recent turn of events that sort of forced them into thinking, you know what? Fuck a supply chain. I'm gonna be the supply chain, kind of thing, So when droughts start happening, I saw on the blacklist XYZ in California, there's been like they said in the billions of dollars of illicit cannabis seized. Like we're talking like camp levels of illegal raids happening, or like illegal cannabis grow rate, but like I'm seeing helicopters coming out. I'm seeing like bales taken up and like people like uh, and like I don't feel as bad when the kids like they're like fucking up our national parks and shit doing it.
I'm proud of us. Yeah, don't fuck up the environment, but I'm proud of us that we're growing bales of it.
Fuck yeah, dude. At scale. I love to see that, but I'm just saying it's I've seen at least on I know people who move stuff around and there's less of it and it's a little bit harder to get in a lot of places and it's not just like the infinite supply of super cheap stuff is forever available. Sometimes sources get squeezed a little bit. So um, I know it's probably not a full market thing, but that's just sort of a little bit of a green stock read on the current state of affairs that I saw mirrored by the blacklist, which very often has like real news cases associated with like the videos and just things that they're covering that are happening in this space commercially. And although it doesn't directly impact us, it makes it a little bit more worth it to grow your own, even in a lot of cases. And especially with all the stuff, like even in some regulated markets, not passing for pesticides, stuff being backdoored both ways. Like illicit grows are being sold into the legal market, and legal grows are being sold off into the unregulated market. So it's just like the door is a revolving one in every single direction and it can't be stopped. The genie's out of the fucking bottle. There's no way that they can actually. I was smoking shit from Canada as a kid, in California as a kid, in Ohio. So I wasn't rich. I had very little to get it with, and people had it pretty regularly available. So it moves in a way that even when there's no distribution network, there will be a guy with a fucking van who drives and buys 10 pounds of it and drives it all the way across the country just so he can sell that 10 pounds over the next couple of months out of his apartment in fucking a certain area of Cleveland that I'm not
Well, out of
gonna
his
mention.
van on his way back across the country most of the time.
Yeah, you're not wrong
And
about that. In this case, I knew his operation and the drive back was like a white knuckle operation. Like, don't speed, don't break any laws, make sure all of your like tail light is all proper and all your tags are up to date and current. And they, would vacuum seal it like 3 times or so and store it in a place that's out of sight. So there was nothing, they weren't smoking on the way, they weren't drinking, they weren't doing anything illegal. They kept it straight and narrow, and then when they got home, they fucking had a big celebration. And I know because I dated at the time the guy's younger sister, and I got to go over for a couple of those Cali celebrations of some stuff from NorCal that, man, I was spoiled. Like middle school and high school, and be able to smoke some shit from like the Emerald Triangle, and like the dude like, had pictures from himself out there like with these guys, like the old remember the old wind and shoot fucking film cameras? They had the little fucking 24-hour photos. You'd go and drop the little camera off and you'd have a little, you didn't know if the photos sucked or not. But in this case, he had to like know somebody because it was still illegal days. So he had a buddy who worked at like a CVS or something, had a 24-hour photo and developed the photos for him because they had a bunch of weed stuff in them. And even then, they were like putting plastic bags or not plastic, like paper bags over their faces and shit in the photo so that they couldn't be identified. But different era.
Dude, different era. I was shocked to find out that Spartan was closer to my age, but yeah, it's so long now.
Bro, I just had a
I'll
birthday.
tell you
I'm
guys a quick
48 now.
story. I'll tell you a quick story. It's not no BS. This is I know what it was. It was 2015. 2015. I went to a buddy's house, bought a few pounds. I was taking it up north in my same state, and and we're taking a back road in this little road called Industrial Way where I was going, trying to go back roads. Have my license and insurance, and we're going, and a fucking deer walks out, bam, and I hit it. I get out, and it's a little bit of smoke coming out of the radiator. I made sure that everything was still going. I didn't even look back for the deer because I had pounds of weed in the trunk. I'm like, all right, I got to keep going. And my buddy is laughing. I'm like, dude, this is not funny. I do not want to talk to a cop right now. My whole car smells like weed. You can smell it from the trunk. Got there, and then I drove back, and the deer just walked off, I guess. But I
Never
used
overheated
to,
or nothing? Your radiator held together?
no, yeah, it did, but I had to
Nice.
replace the quarter panel, dude, and it just took two steps, and then bam, just walked out up from this like drainage ditch, and
Dude, I've had 'em
They
run
love
right into the
walking
side
out
of
in
me.
front of cars.
oh yeah.
They're not really known for their vast intelligence, that's for sure.
In the woods, they're the sharpest thing on the planet. They're very their smell, their sight, all that stuff. They're maybe not sight. They can't see colors and stuff very well. So you could wear bright blaze orange and go shoot them with a bow from 30 feet or something. But they can smell you from miles away or whatever. Out in nature, they can survive just fine. But when they start living in the city, they have a very hard time because they see that light and they just freeze. They get like stage fright so hard. Like my hometown growing up, we had it was more than one a week at a point because the population got so big they had to bring in like professional hunters from outside and donate all the meat to the local shelters because it even like the animal rights people other than like a few were like, yeah, this is fucking too bad. Like people are dying and getting severely injured and like totaling cars like on a very regular basis. Like these deer weren't afraid at all to walk into the road, and then when they were, they got super afraid and froze up and just got completely hit. So
That-
unfortunate, but yeah, they didn't live and learn.
I used to love growing up, all my hunter friends, they would, share stories about, oh, stalking them or I put piss on me to guard my scent. I'm like, yeah, I just bounced one off my truck. They're elusive, man. They're crazy. I don't know how you can't get these fucking things.
My buddy has got like one of the San Diego tags are limited because there's so few of them, and like no one had bagged one all season. And his sister hit one with her Jeep. He's like, "Come over, I hit one on the road." And he's like, "All right, well, fuck it, I'll come help
It's
you out."
terrible to laugh, but it's like when there's so many and
They put the meat to use. He actually
you see
dressed
them do
it
crazy
and
things,
ate
man.
it. Because it was such a like it happened live. It was basically like as a hunter, he knew what to do. He just rolled up, took care of business, and he had a freezer full of meat. So he didn't even
I've
have to
seen
fill
them
his
jump
tag.
up on cars and stuff on the hoods and stuff and just walk across and I'm just like, oh my God.
I've seen him get hit, fall, and then run. One got hit into a windshield. Like it, they happen so often in my hometown. I saw one get hit into the windshield, and its legs were like fluttering or whatever. And then when the person stopped, as my buddy's sister, the deer went flying out onto the ground, thuds on the ground, stands up, and then runs off into the woods.
That's the
But
thing
what I found out is they die.
that's
They die after the fact, but they can
yeah, with
survive
the
the
injury.
impact and they'll go die somewhere else.
I would say that I've seen them run off like it's insane what they can just run off with. And it's insane what a deer can do just when it's just a healthy deer, what it could, I mean, it's got the biggest vertical leap I've ever seen ever. I see it jump over farm fences just like
That's easy.
not even running, just walking up to the fence and okay, fuck you, jump over your fence. What the I didn't believe it. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Yeah, deer are amazing.
I saw them on the side of the highway jumping over the barriers. They're like 8, 10 feet high. Like those
Yeah.
big, huge barriers that they use to like block sound from like entering neighborhoods. Just trotting along the side, like cars are going 60. They're doing like, I don't know, 30 something. And just like in full stride, just like jumped over it. Like no, it was literally like reindeer taking off into the fucking sky type thing. But we're talking deer now, and we're at 1 hour in, so I'm gonna pass it back to Spartan Grown for final thoughts and shout outs before we close it down this week.
All right, I got a short little story shout out because I want to shout out, I'll just say Tony, my buddy Tony from Ohio. I met him in at MJ BizCon about a year ago. And at the time, I'd gifted him some of my seeds of the crosses I made with the Vortex. And what was it? Just yesterday, I met him, and he was coming through town here, heading on the way to Detroit. Uh, but I met him, and he brought me a cut of, for one, the Ohio Death Star. He brought me that, so I'm fucking excited to grow that out. One that he sourced down there, so we'll see how she grows. And he also brought me uh, a pheno that he hunted out of the orange vortex that's super orangey. And so I'm excited to grow that out and see how it does because, hey, that might be another keeper in my garden. We'll see. But he brought me like several cuts of the Ohio Death Star. So I've already got one at the Trichome Forge and I got one already outside. Speaking of outside, so I'll have an inside version and an outside version to judge and a commercial cocoa version to judge all at the same time. So I'm excited for that. Shout out to you, Tony. It was cool meeting you and your wife. Other than that, much love, everybody, and keep growing. I'm taking up too much time as it is.
All good, man. There's not a show for us to interrupt anymore. There used to be something that I care about running over and interrupting, but we can go a few extra minutes and take our time. We've dedicated this 2 hours. I want to give the full shout outs, and I'm glad you did because I've got the Death Star in my tent right now, and I love it. It smells amazing. It's one of my favorite smokes from my childhood and adulthood. It's just great stuff. So shout out to Tony in Ohio, a fellow Ohioan. Shout out to all the people in Ohio killing it, Vark Dog and Dave and so many others, man. There's the community is strong, dude. I'm proud of my home state. When I was there, it kind of sucked a lot of the time because the cops and the enforcement was so strict and brutal, and I didn't have access to a great scene other than like, people that sold it or whatever. But even that I'll be grateful for because, like I described earlier, I had access to stuff from Canada and California as a humble little town in Ohio. So crazy the way it moves and the stories that we have and growing, smoking, all of it. It's a lot of fun to enjoy. And pass it last and certainly not least to my panelist this evening, to Noah the Grower.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys off the camera, but I'll give a 30-second pitch, elevator pitch. Last night I went to a celebration of life to one of my really good friends. He died about 6 months ago, and it wasn't a sad experience for me. It was a sad for a lot of people. Me and this guy were very close. We went to Vegas. I took him to my grandparents' house up in the Bay, up in Seattle. I did a lot of stuff with him. But one of our old friends actually I used to get weed from him a long time ago, like 15 years ago. But he got pissed off because I used to hook my buddy up with weed because I had good weed and he didn't. And this was like, he didn't even smoke weed for like 10 years after this. But 12, 13 years ago, he got all pissed off. And me and this guy used to be good friends. Now he also got pissed off. He lost $600 in a poker game to me one night, but that's different. But the thing of it is that me and this guy we were all good friends and we haven't been friends for a long time. It was crazy seeing him. But if you're friends with somebody, man, don't let no BS get in between it. There's so few good people in this world. When you lose one, which shows you. So I'm no other girl. I'll see you guys all next week.
Great message as always, Noah. I love the knowledge you share, whether it's growing or in life. That is a powerful one. I've unfortunately experienced very similar sentiments, and they're hard lessons to learn, but what you said is true. And I used to take for granted. I used to think that good people were in mass abundance, and I like to believe that from an optimistic perspective. But from a practical perspective, like the ones I know are relatively to the millions or billions of people out there, small in number. And good, everybody defines a good person as a different quality. So whatever good is to you, value and cherish those people in your life because they aren't going to be around forever. And it is unfortunate when stuff like that. I tend to avoid, you know, anything where like money or gambling and stuff can get involved. And if you people do get sour about that sometimes. So it's like I'd rather go to the casino with my buddies, and if we're gonna win or lose, like it's gonna be from the casino. And not that I do that a bunch, but on like a bachelor party or something. And sometimes you can win together, lose together, and there's the camaraderie versus like the take being a winner or loser. there's a winner take all kind of situation. Can definitely sour relationships, but it's a valuable lesson to learn. And I've seen that happen over cannabis. People got sour that they didn't get a cut handed to them, or they didn't sell that bag to them. And like I said earlier, it's not an infinite source. There's not tons of it on tap that we just have unlimited of. If I had unlimited Vortex or if I had unlimited Death Star, I would give everybody it today. Like, and some of the people on the OSGA Alliance are probably like, "Damn, Jack, I emailed you 6, 8, 10 months ago," and it's like, I'm going in order and doing as many as I can, and I'll get back to it. But peace out, y'all, and I just gotta say, peace and love. Y'all know where to find me at Jack Greenstock and 50strands.com. And I'll catch y'all next week. Cheers.